Greetings, gamers, and welcome to the 100th live stream from the MisfitGamersStudios. I'm your host, Vortex, and this is D&D Discussions. On today's episode, we have another review for you, another homebrew review. This one is coming to us from XCat. XCat Darkness, they have a new subclass for us to look at. It is called the Veil Walker. It does have some custom artwork that comes with it as well, so we are interested in looking at that. Before we get started, we have a very quick update for you. We do have the polls live in Discord, so these are the renaming polls that we are looking at for the episode titles. So we do have those up for maybe another week and a half or so, another 10 days-ish. So if you haven't, go ahead and get those voted on. And if you are in the Discord yet, I will pop that link in the chat as well. So if you want to join the community, you can give us topics, you can chat with us, you can give us homebrew reviews for Monday, anything that you guys want to do, and you can vote on those polls. Other than that, we don't have any real updates other than this week is the week I start learning how to edit. So yay, I've already taken a couple, or not really taken classes, I've already looked at a couple videos, gotten my hands, gotten my feel for Adobe Pro and Adobe Premiere Pro, and yeah, I'm basically gonna start trying to just knock out some shorts. Hopefully by the end of this month, I'll have a couple of those posted. So keep that in mind, and yeah, that's kind of all I have. So I guess, yeah, without much ado, how you doing, man? How's it been?
Shalom, my friends. You know, we out here chilling. Had a nice, relaxing weekend. Hot weekend.
It has been brutal.
Spicy out recently, like for real. So
it's absolutely been brutal.
We ain't playing.
And it's not stopping anytime soon. We got another one coming in like another day or two. So keep inside.
Wednesday's supposed to be crazy. But
yeah, absolutely insane. All right. Yeah, I'm actually kind of excited for this one. This one sounds really interesting. Veil Walker. Just very, very... the name just kind of gives me some good vibes for this one. So I'm really looking forward to this.
The last one that we got from XCat, so I have good hopes for...
This is their second one, correct?
Yes, this is their second one.
All right, excellent.
So I'm interested to see where we go with it. But roguish archetype, like, I don't think we've done a lot of rogues. I think maybe like what...
I can't remember I don't think we've done a rogue subclass yet.
Maybe not.
This is gonna be good. I'm trying to think. Yeah, no, other than the polls, I think that was, I just want to make sure that we had no other updates, no other things. But we don't really have anything else for you, so I guess we could probably just get started. I don't know if XCat's going to be here today.
That's all right.
Kind of unfortunate, but hey, we can keep on rolling with the content. All right, so give me one sec, y'all.
Alrighty. Where was I?
All right, here we go. So, starting off, we're actually starting off pretty early today. All things considered, we are starting off relatively early.
We doing all right. We getting it.
All right, so we have today the Roguish Archetype Subclass Veil Walker, submitted by XCat Darkness. I'm really interested in this one because I'm hoping to get something inspiring. This is somewhere I have so much going on with rogues, but it's been so long since I've been inspired to do something new with a rogue. I spent several years honing different ideas for certain characters of mine and certain NPCs, and I've gotten a few areas that I feel very comfortable in, but it has been a very long time since I have really stepped out of my comfort zone and really tried something new. So I'm hoping we get something.
I'm here for that.
By the name alone, I'm hoping for something a little bit new, because Veil can go in a lot of different directions.
Yes, I like play on words.
But the Veil Walker, I'm really hoping this isn't another Echo Knight.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm like?
I know what you mean.
It's that borderline that I'm feeling right now, where I'm like, I'm really hopeful for some new inspiration, but there's something about the name that's just like, is this just another Echo Knight? We'll see. We'll see. But at the same time, I will say this: an Echo Knight version for a rogue isn't necessarily the worst idea.
Very much,
because Echo Knight is a great fighter.
Cool stuff with
but that. Realistically, okay, you're gonna have to write this down. New topic. We need to do a whole series, whether this is a YouTube exclusive, a Discord exclusive, or whatnot. So, new idea that we have to come up with. Bear with me, guys. I don't know what to call it. My brain's trying to struggle for a name, but we need to have a series where we take some of the best subclasses and we see how we can manipulate them for each of the other classes, like Echo Knight to be for a rogue. It doesn't have to be for, like, we won't take the Echo Knight and make it for each class. But if we can take some of our favorite subclasses that have some unique abilities and see how we would be able to modify those for a whole other class, but kind of keep it in the same realm.
I've seen a lot of people do that when it comes to like elemental themes, because like you've had like certain elemental focuses. Like I've seen people try and make like a frost sorcerer, you know, but there's not really a subclass designed for like just all cold spells. But there is something like a tempest cleric, which is very much like thunder, lightning, cold damage, things like that. So
trying to repurpose it for the different things.
Repurpose it for different kind of classes. So
yeah, I like this idea.
I like that idea.
Because yeah, there's been several subclasses that we've come across, or just several builds in general, that are really nice, but they have a feel of, you know, something else. I mean, imagine being able to have like the Echo Knight, but imagine being able to incorporate that with backstab. You know, the fact that you could like put it in a shadow, nobody knows about it the whole round until you appear in that. They think you're over there, backstab. Like, imagine the backstab opportunities that they see you the whole fight, but what they don't see is right behind them in the shadows is your Echo Rogue. And all you have to do, and that's what you could do in order to, we're going off topic, but what you would do is, instead of making the Echo Knight to where, you know how normally you can attack from it, this one would be in the situation where you wouldn't be able to attack from it, but you could basically swap places at any time with it.
Interesting.
So as a rogue, you could use it to either hide and make a ghost version of yourself where you were kind of like a flash step. So it would be a version of flash step.
I do like that.
And then what you could do is, if you're a target of like a spell or something, if you get the opportunity to like react to it, you could do like an Echo Knight. You can go there, do an action, and come back. So imagine being able to swap places just to dodge. Like you could basically use that ability as a reaction or a bonus action to avert an incoming amount of damage. I mentioned the roleplay option. Someone does fireball, you disappear, the fireball goes off, when the dust settles, you come back and you're just like...
And
like, and then again, being able to, then you restrict it to where you have to teleport or you have to go to it in order to do the backstab, right? So you have to put it in position without it being noticed for you to be able to use it,
right? And
then get that benefit. But right, it wouldn't be able to attack, it wouldn't be able to do anything. It's basically just a movement option for the rogue. That's something like I think that I would do. Like again, take away some of the fighter aspects and just lean into the fact that it's like, imagine being able to be a rogue, right? You're in a crowded place and you're like, okay, I'm going to put my Echo Knight and I'm going to keep myself looking like I'm at the bar, but I'm going to sneak out. So you put your Echo Knight like across the room and then you go to it. Everyone still sees you at the bar, and then the real you just walks out. So, and then as long as it has a radius, right? So imagine you're the rogue. You have a place that you need to like, get into. So you're talking to the guard. You're the guard, and I need to get by you, right? And I'm just like, yeah, no, of course. Where is that invitation? You know what? You know, I'm just gonna wait for my friends. Let's go sit down. Boop. Now I'm behind them, up on a railing. They're looking at me, just waiting for my friends now. And as long as I'm within my same area, I could go loot. I could go get into the chest. I can break into that house. And then when it's all said and done, boop. All right, guys. I guess my friends aren't coming. I'll come back later. They would never know. And if it works the same way, whatever you pick up teleports with you.
Imagine you forget, and like something you put on, like you go somewhere else and you turn your cloak inside out and it's a different color or something like that.
And so when you come back,
it's just a different color. He's like,
but that's what I mean. Like this. Now, granted, that could be very OP. That basically gives the rogue teleport. But isn't that the exact same thing an Echo Knight could do with it?
I've thought the same thing. Like, imagine if I am just holding on to a sword in a shop, and my Echo is outside, and then all of a sudden I'm just like, switch spots, and then I'm holding the sword still, so why wouldn't I still have it? And then I just leave. I just disappear, and they don't know where I went. They don't know what happened. All they just know is that their sword is gone now. Like, I don't know.
See what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I don't know what I think I just have to have it. We're trying the new music, y'all, and it just keeps going off for some reason. So we're gonna
experimenting with it. We're gonna see how it goes. I like
so yeah,
it.
I don't know what we're gonna call this. That is gonna be a new series. I don't know if it's gonna be an episode series or if it's gonna be the YouTube exclusive, but we are gonna be cooking on that in the background. I love this idea of taking good subclasses and applying them to not all, but other classes and seeing if we could make brand new subclasses. Because I'm just thinking like lore-wise, right? You have these backgrounds. But some of them are so specific that it's like you're telling me that everybody that learns that only becomes a fighter. Like no one's ever repurposed that ability.
Exactly.
So this is that idea. And then imagine the party opportunity. Imagine a party coming in that's an entire Echo party. Imagine like an Echo Knight with an Echo Cleric, whatever that would look like. Now, maybe not an Echo Cleric, but like...
They kind of have the Trickster Cleric is basically, they have the ability to create a duplicate of themselves.
Yes, so it's like, so it's like, yeah, maybe, again, I don't want to do it to like every single class and make like a subclass that's equal, because the whole point is for them to be different. Yes. But I do feel like there are subclasses that would mesh well in another class.
I think it's interesting because every subclass would take it in a slightly different direction, right? Every subclass would have like the reason a barbarian would do this would be very different than the reason a rogue would do this.
Exactly.
Right? And so like being able to go through and be like, okay, how could this class use this, or would they even bother with this? Would this be something that would even make sense for them, or is a barbarian too in your face to want to be whatever, you know?
All right, so I really like this idea.
I'm here for it. Yeah.
So y'all watching at home, whether you guys are, if you're watching on YouTube, drop it in the comments which subclasses you would like to see and which class we should try to apply it to. If you're in the Discord, drop those ideas in topics as well. And yeah, just let us know what you guys think, because I am really excited about doing this. I think this is going to be a really interesting. I don't know how long it's going to take us to get the first one launched, but we'll probably start with Echo Knight.
Okay.
And that'll just be our launching point. Yep. We'll see how well we do with it, and then we'll continue from there. We'll let you guys know.
I'm here for it.
All right, back to the topic at hand. All right, so the Veil Walker. Let's go. I am super excited about this. Oh, actually, before we begin, have you brought up, as we normally do now, we've made the slight change. If you guys haven't been here in a while, we have done a slight change to where we are now going to be having Kage walk through the standard class build and the class level up process, so we can make sure that we better understand where this fits in to that class's development. It's helped us a little bit better understand if and where the balancing needs to happen.
Very much so.
So
and yes,
you have the
it
rogue
is up
type
and ready. I have rogue full class up, and like where you get the different abilities and things like that.
So real quick, paint us a picture. What is the rogue archetype from 1 to 3? Paint us the picture of where we're at so far.
So starting off, when you take your first level in rogue, you get expertise, which allows you to double your proficiency, and I believe at least 2 of your skills that you're already proficient in.
Gotcha.
So you double your proficiency bonus in that, which is fire. Then you get your sneak attack starting off. I'm pretty sure it just starts off as a 1d6. Added on to, but that compounds as you go through, and then you learn Thieves' Cant. All that is at first level.
Gotcha.
Second level, you get Cunning Action, which is what so many people love to dip into Rogue for, because you can do your dash, hide, and what's the other
Disengage.
one? Disengage as a bonus action.
Which is just, I mean, that is, let's face it, at least in 5th edition, that is the cornerstone of Rogue.
It's so clutch.
Like,
it really is.
It's the cornerstone, at least of Rogue combat, I would say.
And that's where I feel like they build a lot of stuff around it. So a lot of the things they give you allows you to hide super well. A lot of the things they give you, one of the subclasses, I think it's what's the Swashbuckler, enables you to not provoke opportunity attacks.
Yes,
when you get up
such a
really
good
close.
one. I love that one.
They all play in super well together.
You know what I've actually always found interesting about the Rogue? I don't know off the top of my head if 5th edition has ever had a feat or a subclass, and this is a real shame, that gave the Rogue an additional cunning action.
What do you mean by additional?
Like, basically, you can use cunning action twice. Like, gives you an extra bonus action just... So imagine disengage and dash.
Interesting.
Like, maybe once per day. Like, basically just being able to have a way or a feat that allows you to basically take 2 cunning actions in a single turn.
That would be very interesting.
I wouldn't want this in every build. I wouldn't want this at I wouldn't want level 3 just instantly hand
Everybody
this.
has that,
but
yeah.
a subclass or
That
a feat
allows...
that allows you to specialize. Because imagine the builds you would get. That the first thing that tells me is it would be disengage and dash would be the immediate 2.
For sure.
Because there's
especially if you're trying to get out of there.
Because you remove opportunity attack, and then you'd be able to move from opponent to opponent. You'd be able to cover more ground.
Would you allow somebody to hide, shoot, hide?
Oh, why not? That's exactly perfect, because that's one of my biggest issues historically with Rogue is the idea that you can get the bonus to hit them, but you can sometimes you can stay hidden while attacking, and then sometimes you have to unhide yourself. You still get the hide initially, but you have to become unhidden after.
Yeah.
So yes, in those particular cases, something like that where you'd be able to do something like that.
That would be one of the. I'm just curious if it has to be 2 different things, or if you could do the same thing
but why
twice.
not, right? Because you would hide, you dip into a shadow, you'd fire, so they can't see you shooting it. So literally, it's just out of nowhere. There's an arrow. You come back out, and then you hide again. I see thematically and narratively, it makes sense, and to me that, while it can be abused, is no more abusive than many of the other feats that give you these loopholes that as long as you're in the right situation, you can just stack the actions.
The rogue would potentially be able to rival the monk in movement speed with dash dash dash. Bonus action dash.
That's
action dash.
To be okay, yes, but
no.
That just, to me, that's a difficult one because it always just becomes a difficult conversation because again, movement and speed are 2 different things, and just because you can move faster doesn't necessarily equal that you can cover more distance. And that's the thing is, yes, you can dash 3 times, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you can immediately cover distance, right? Because it's the time.
I know what you're talking about.
Time, distance and speed and movement have always been something that I think have always been very. The 2 things aren't synonymous, but they've always used synonymously.
Lightweight, yes.
Right. So it's that's just where I'm like, I got problems with it, right?
Yeah, there might be some tweaking possible there.
But you're right. I do like this idea that you could have a super fast rogue that can rival a monk in speed. That right there would thematically be amazing in a party. You know what I mean? Just the 2, or again, 2 rivals, like an NPC monk and then this rogue. That would be really interesting. So, sorry, another tangent. That's what happens here. Y'all know that's what we love about it. But yeah, I've never seen a double cunning action or an additional cunning action, and I think a subclass with that
could be interesting. I'd mess with it.
All right, sorry, I let that one go off the rails. So we get all of those bonuses up to level 3. We get the all of the the cunning actions and all of the.
That's what we get at 2nd level, and 3rd level is when we hit our roguish archetype.
Gotcha, and that's where Veil Walker comes in. So Veil Walker at level 3, we begin with Borrowed Time. When you choose this archetype at 3rd level, you can re-roll an ability check, taking the new result. Your next D20 roll is made at disadvantage. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest. So you can reroll an ability check and take the new result. So
it's basically like giving yourself advantage after the fact. So if I roll an ability check and don't like it, I can just re-roll it and take
this is like when you're using I'm trying to think of because again, 5th edition when it says ability check. So this is talking about when you're using survival. Or but anything you're proficient in, right?
It could be survival, it could be acrobatics, it could be your hide. That counts as an ability check.
Interesting.
Stealthing is an ability check. Your pickpocketing.
So basically anything based off of your stats, right? Any kind of roll that's based off your stats.
A lockpick would do the same thing.
So any D20 roll that's an ability check, you can re-roll it.
I would say you can't use this on an attack roll. Or something.
That's not that's an attack roll, not an ability check. Okay, and not saving throws, different than saving throws
either. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so you can do this basically once per long rest, but your second reroll is made at a disadvantage. So it's you really had to have messed up. But then again, and a miss or a failure is still. Barely passing is still better than failing, right? I guess I can understand the disadvantage. Once you use this feature, you can't use it on the rest. And I like that you make it a disadvantage and you have to take the new result. So I guess realistically, the only thing that this could do worse for you, because if you're already failing, right? Assuming that you're already failing, or No, you wouldn't use it unless you failed. Like, I don't think you would use this to try to crit, especially at disadvantage.
Yeah.
So the only thing that this could really do harmful to you is after you failed, you could crit and get a nat 1. And if you have crit failure rules, this could technically make you crit fail if you have a crit fail system.
The only thing I would say to this is I might, especially because watching this scale with you, I would probably give it to you as many times as your proficiency bonus instead of just once per long rest.
Was gonna say short rest.
Short rest.
I was gonna say one. We're on the same page. I agree that a long rest is too long for this. Once a day, because I look at long rest as once a day.
Very much so, yeah.
Once a day, once per long rest. This doesn't quite make sense to like what do you like again, try to contextualize it in lore. What are you sleeping on, right? Like, what did you do that resting is going to revive? But in terms of like long rest, like what is sleep going to do? I could say like if it's an ability check, it's going to just be more tiring. So a short rest, you have to get your breath again, right? You can't just go from battle to battle and keep this up. I'm interested, in your idea that you could do this via, if it was once, if it was X amount per day or X amount per long rest equal to your proficiency, I would agree. If it's still part of the long rest, the number of times equal to your proficiency, I would get. I could also see just once, getting it and then once per short rest. Yeah. Because I feel it would be way more accessible. I mean, it's 3rd level. It's not powerful enough at 3rd level to justify I can only use it once per long rest because it's already made a disadvantage. And I wouldn't want to change that, actually. I don't think that changing this to advantage, like rolling it with advantage, I don't think that's the right move either. I think disadvantage is great. I just think I would want to use it more often. So
I think the only reason I would want to tie it to the proficiency bonus instead of specifically a short rest, because I'm going to be able to take the same amount of short rest at level 20 as I am at level 3. So I'm not really seeing more from this as I continue. It's just the
I see
one
what you
thing.
mean.
But like,
it's basically a lifetime get out of jail free card for that one ability. So realistically, you're absolutely right. Like, if it were stronger, if it were at advantage, I could still see the short rest because realistically, that basically means you get to guarantee you pass one thing. So that I could see on a short rest or a long rest. But you're right. If this is at disadvantage at all times, and it really is just overdoing an ability check and nothing super substantial, this is more of like things you would expect plot development and narrative development. You're absolutely right. Equal to the proficiency bonus is the way to go on a long rest. Resets at a long rest, but you get equal to your proficiency bonus because that will level up with you. And then on a long rest, you get that many back because even at the highest level, you're getting 6.
Yep.
6 rerolls between long rests. That's not game changing unless you're going really slow. I wouldn't say that that's game changing.
You would have in a day, like there's gonna be a lot.
And how many are you gonna fail? How many? And then again, at disadvantage, how many? You gotta also calculate not just how many times you're gonna use it, but how many times is this not gonna benefit you?
Yeah.
With those disadvantages, how many times are you just gonna fail anyway?
Yep.
So realistically, the only issue with it is that if I'm going to have if I'm gonna risk failing anyway, and I'm only getting a slight risk of not failing, I'd want to use it more often. Because otherwise, once per long rest, I think I'm almost gonna forget that I have it.
Lightweight.
Like if I only have it once per long rest, if I don't fail an ability check for several campaigns or several sessions, I'm gonna just forget that I can even re-roll that one, and then I fear. You pointed, good on you for pointing out like the idea of the proficiency, equal to your proficiency bonus, because I fear that I'm going to treat it like a Phoenix Down in Final Fantasy. And I'm never going to use that bitch because I'm like, this ability check isn't worth it. No, I'll wait for the next ability check.
Exactly.
If I only have one per long rest, what ability check is worth it? Because it's only an ability check, right? So it's like, if it's a survival, I guess we can go without rations for one more day. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm actually curious if they think this would apply to death saves or not.
Is a death save considered an ability check by the book?
Because here's the deal, like,
it's a saving throw though. It's technically a saving throw. It's not an ability check.
You're right.
So it falls under saving throws.
Okay.
So, and again, with this not affecting saving throws, if this affected saving throws, I could almost say just the one. You know what I mean? Because then you have a much bigger breadth of what you can't fail. But yeah, because that would basically guarantee if you. But here's the problem with that. If it also worked for saving throws, you know what I'd always save it for? My last death save.
Right.
If I was on either the last guaranteed failure or I've already failed twice or whatever, I would just use this to just overrule
if it
it.
included saving throws, I would say that, me personally, I would say that with the exception of death saves, because death saves are their whole other thing.
Yeah,
It's
well,
like,
and that's what I mean. So realistically, I think, I think the issue is that at this level, once per long rest is just not as useful. Equal to your proficiency modifier, it'll grow with you, it will be much more versatile, but you are still leaning into the fact that with disadvantage, you're still likely to fail at least 50, if not 60%. You know, you're more likely to fail the, I don't know what the actual percentage is, right? But
right.
I think it's more than a 50% chance that you're going to fail anyway. So it's kind of a glimmer of hope, but it's not like, you're not giving them the halfling ability to never crit fail, right?
Right.
Like,
yeah.
that's how I'm feeling about it. So I love it, though. I do like this idea of being able to reroll ability checks. I think equal to your proficiency modifier, solid.
Cool.
All right. So also at level 3, we get something called Stolen Words. Starting at level 3, you can use a bonus action to steal the voice of another creature you can see within 10 feet of you. You make a dexterity sleight of hand check contested by the target's charisma, their deception check, or their charisma persuasion check. The target chooses the ability to use. If you succeed, the target loses the ability to speak until the end of their next turn. Additionally, you can speak or shout in their voice until the end of your turn. Okay, so right out the bat, I like the idea. Love the idea of being able to steal their voice. They can't speak, and you can give basic shouts in their voice. Thematically, narratively, I love that. Roleplay-wise, I love that in a turn of battle. There's a lot to be said about that, both roleplay-wise and in combat. But I want to take a step back here, because we have Veil Walker, right, is the title.
Right.
Now, we're already a rogue, so we're thinking...
We don't really have a description of this class, of like the way it's going.
So I'm just trying to put together, like, I'm trying to piece together what I thought and where we're going, right? Because these are already diverging, right? So when I think Veil Walker, already rogue, I'm thinking either, secretive, sneaky, or finesse, right? Like fast, like get in, get out kind of stuff, right? Mm-hmm. So it's either you're trying to hide, basically be sneaky and try to hide. You're just trying to be finesse, almost like in, out, fast, kind of just, that approach. Or you're trying to... I
would also put in there deception.
Yeah, rogues, you could be more
like a street magician or something to that effect, like doing a lot of misdirection, doing a lot of
because that's where I go with rogue, right? So I'm going with rogue as like these sly kind of people, right? So then I get a title Veil Walker. Well, my version of Veil immediately goes to like the Veil Between Worlds, right? So life, death. I almost thought, is this going to go necromancy? Is this going to go like speak with dead?
My initial thought was like the veil of like shadows and like
that's where I mentioned Echo Knight, because I'm like Veil of Shadows, and it's Veil Walker, and then I'm thinking, well, are we going to be teleporting a lot, right? Are we going to be walking through this veil? Are we going to be walking through these worlds? Can I use it to go other places, or am I going to be able to work with the things in this veil, right? So these are just the ideas that I was going off of. Then we got the name Borrowed Time, and I'm thinking, okay, Veil, time, wasn't really sure what's going with, but I wanted to see what's going on. So then we have this idea that you can reroll an ability check after the fact, right? So it's kind of like setting the clock back, right? It's almost kind of like you pierce the veil and you get to hop back a few seconds. It's almost like what I'm thinking that's what it's talking about.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm like, okay, veil, going behind the veil, seeing how the world works and not works, and okay, so far I was kind of going with it. Then I get Stolen Words, and now I just didn't know where to take that. And now we're getting this idea that anything you can see, and now granted it's 10 feet, I do like that it's not just any distance, but I'm really starting to struggle with, okay,
this is, I feel like maybe you were on the right track when it comes to like Veil Between, like dimensions or something to that effect, like more cosmically. Because imagine like you're you know how when you hit the blink spell, you go to what plane is it? It's like the ethereal plane or something. Like just you go to some other plane where you can still see this world, still interact with this world. Like I kind of imagine, borrowed time is you have the ability to like
step into that,
step into that for a moment. And even the stolen words, like imagine you're able to like, again, I don't know exactly how you would articulate this, but you're almost like reaching behind the veil and just stealing their voice.
But now I'm just like, what veil are we talking about here? Because now this veil does you know what I mean? Like for me, that's very hard to justify as like, and this is just words, right? We're dealing with the words that are inspiring. This isn't a judgment on the build. It's just I'm trying to piece together what we're building here, because I am kind of confused. So I just wanted to point that out, as I'm just kind of confused on the direction. But
for this one, I think a lot of the other ones that we've reviewed in the past, they've always, even if they don't have like a full description up front, each ability kind of has like a small like little verbal description of what it is, or kind of what it looks like, or kind of what its purpose is. These are just the mechanics specifically.
So we're gonna have to like build that in, right?
Yeah.
So okay, so stolen words. So as a bonus action, so how long does it last? So within 10 feet of you, if you succeed, you lose the ability to talk until the end of their next turn. Okay, so that's not terrible. That's not terrible as a bonus action, right? It's not great. Now, this is unlimited though. I could do this every single turn. There's nothing stopping me from doing this. You can speak, until the end of your turn. So it's interesting that I can do this infinitely, so I could basically be stealing anybody's voice as long as we do this. So I'm just weird. I'm just not weird. I'm confused on where this is going in terms of like, I loved the idea of being able to re-roll a bad roll, but where are we going with this? I just don't understand. I could see why it's a good idea. I just don't understand how useful this is to this build as a rogue, right? Now, granted, I will
say this can do a lot of shutting down for spellcasters.
Yes.
Like imagine you're in combat and you can't cast any verbal components anymore.
And so basically you are, as a bonus action on your turn, you are an instantaneous, and if you have ready mechanics, if you can ready an action, you're basically walking around with infinite dispel magic. Because I could literally every turn at the top of my turn I'm readying a bonus action. The moment I hear any enemy cast a spell, I'm cutting their voice. And that's my readied action, and then I do everything else I want. If in a game where the DM allows readied actions, the moment I hear any spell going off, I will ready my action, and as a bonus, boom, your voice is gone. It's literally a spell killer. If you can ready the action.
I would say, for me as a DM, the way I would rule that, even if you're readying an action, it's still in response. So their spell would resolve before...
If it's instantaneous.
What's that?
If it's instantaneous. If it takes them casting time...
Now, that's true, but
that's where the interrupt comes in.
There's almost never... It's either an action, and if it's an action, like...
It's considered instantaneous?
It's basically... that after that action is done, your verbal components are done with. And even if the spell takes longer, even if it lasts for an hour with concentration,
but then again, but still in a combat, if I can identify a wizard, I would just cast this every other turn.
Very much so.
And then they would just be rendered absolutely useless unless they have succeeded. But then the next turn, I'm just going to do it again.
Yes, exactly.
So that's going to be a very big hindrance. If they can cast a
concentration spell, during the time that they succeed, they can still concentrate on the spell even if they don't have a voice, right?
Yeah.
So say if they want to...
And technically, because this is a dexterity, it's a sleight of hand, it's an ability check, which means I can also re-roll it.
Yes, you can. Now, that's where I think they're kind of trying to build a little bit of synergy. So like, hey, that ability you just got, now you can use it doing this, so you can succeed on this more often. Now, they're not always going to succeed on it, for sure, but...
So going back to the title of Veil, like, I'm just thinking, and mostly I'm thinking, like, beyond the veil of, like, life, death, right? That's kind of just where I always initially go with Veil.
For sure.
If we're going to do the Veil where it's, like, you can kind of manipulate time, I'm trying to really stretch this idea.
Yeah.
Why isn't stolen words reaching beyond the Veil and being able to take the voice of, like... kind of like Speak with Dead, but it's like you can take the voice of a dead creature. Either recently or as recent as equal to your level in years or whatever. But you know what I mean? It's almost like I'm having a hard time understanding why, like, not why this is a cool idea. I could fully understand when, where to use it. I would abuse the crap out of it. I'm not yet seeing yet. So we're just going to keep on going. I'm just not yet seeing how this fits, but that's not about it's just, I don't understand the synergy yet.
For sure.
But as an option, I like the idea. I don't know if I like dexterity and sleight of hand as the attack component.
I understand why they're doing it, because it falls in line with being a rogue and that's
stealing. It's like
right.
It's a literally got your nose moment.
pretty much. I do like the fact that it's contested against their opponent's charisma
I used like that. I'm confused even more so. I don't understand how deception or persuasion against your voice.
I believe it should be a mental stat. I believe it should be wisdom, intelligence, or charisma.
I would understand wisdom because it's almost like because it's not magic, right? But it's almost like I imagine this more because it's within 10
against
feet.
Your will.
Well, I imagine because it's 10 feet away. If this were like within 5 feet or melee range, like it required touch, I would almost look at this as like a monk's ability to like hit a nerve and cut you off from your throat, and then you just also have a knack because you're a rogue to mimic someone's voice, right? I could understand that, but with 10 feet ability, I almost want to believe that if it's not magic, kind of like you were talking about, it's like a street magician. You know how like the hypnos, they could like the hypnotist, they can almost make people believe they're being hypnotized when they're not. It's just a psychosis thing you make them to the point to where they're paying attention to one thing, they're not paying attention, and then you can kind of get them in a weird spot.
Yeah.
I almost imagine it's like that, where you do something like sleight of hand, and it's almost like for a second you make them believe they can't speak.
Yeah, I totally get
it's
that.
Almost just like a mind fuck. And that would be wisdom. I think wisdom would make more sense because it's like, hey, I can speak. You didn't touch me. You didn't do anything. But it's almost like there should be, because it's not magic, it's almost like, and again, maybe this is just my need to want to make things have a narrative reason.
No, I definitely get where you're going with this.
But with this, if you're going to do sleight of hand, I think you would want to do wisdom because, again, it's more like you're tricking the person's mind into thinking they can't speak.
Okay, I'm going to pull up a character sheet real quick. So if I'm looking at my wisdom skills, I have persuasion, I have perception, I have insight, I have medicine. I say insight would be the closest wisdom skill to counteract this.
Well, especially because it's almost like, I imagine like you're doing the sleight of hand, right? And then you change your voice in that moment to like sound like them. And now they're like thinking like, you just stole my voice.
They do the I got your nose, but they do it with your voice and they speak it out so you can see.
And then you're like, you're panicking. It's almost like a panic moment because like you could say that the thing that they did is like a synapse thing, right? So if they're like, oh my God, you stole my voice. And then after a turn, they're like, wait, no, you didn't.
I can see that.
If that's the case, it also makes sense because this isn't magical, right? They lose the ability to speak until the end of their next turn. You gain the ability to speak until the end of your next turn.
Is that what it says?
Yes. It's they lose it until the end of their next turn. Additionally, you can speak or shout in their voice until the end of your turn. So you're not technically taking their voice and using it. You're mimicking it. So my idea of you synapse them, you sound like them all of a sudden, makes them think that they can't use their voice for a round. The reason why you can talk longer, because again, let's say initiative is they come first, is because they would have to speak to their crew. And the crew would have to take a moment, at least one round, to go, oh, you're the voice we need to pay attention to.
I can see that.
So if that's the case, again, wisdom again is the saving throw.
I was thinking that they both ended at the exact same time.
Oh yeah, no.
So
you continue to the end of your next turn, which would make sense if it were somewhat magical.
Better, though. And that's what I mean. Because I do see what you're saying, and I see how it wouldn't be. Like you said, it's not magical.
Like narratively, it makes sense that even though he got his voice back, it would still take a second for his entire buddies to know who's talking.
Well, actually,
because again, you're just shouting in his voice. So on a chaotic battlefield,
so the way I look at this is happening on my turn, right?
Yeah.
So during my turn, I'm doing this to you.
Yeah.
And throughout that entire turn, now I can speak in your voice.
Correct. And on your next turn, you can.
Does it?
Yes, because it doesn't. You can speak in their voice until the end of your. Oh no! It does say the end of your turn. It's my bad. I thought it was to the end of both necks. Yes, I misread that.
Yeah, so that's okay. So if it's just until the end of this turn, then
you've temporarily taken it, and then they gain it back at the end of their turn.
yeah, so it's like they can't make any they're still like freaking out until it's their turn again, and then they
and then they get
their wits by the end of their turn.
I thought I just, because the way that I just looked at next turn and just kind of put that in there. So so with that, I still don't understand the charisma. It doesn't.
Yeah.
It's not a stat that I would say this makes sense to do, because again, charisma to me is how you come across and how you exude your personality out into the world. It doesn't make sense to have this as something that, like, how are you going to out charisma me taking your voice? If I'm going to mimic your voice and make your men think it's me, how are you going to out charisma that? Like, how are you going to, make me not do that? Like, wisdom, knowing that you can still speak.
Yeah.
That to me made more sense, because
I do get that.
If I'm not technically stopping you, if I'm not touching you, if it's not physical and it's not magical, there has to be something going on where I'm preventing you from doing something that you naturally should be able to do.
Right.
So, I don't know. That's just, might be my over explanation. I still don't know if this is the direction, but we'll see as we go through. But yeah, I would probably just change, not the ability, but probably just change the saving throw. Then otherwise, just...
Yeah.
Otherwise, it still works. It totally works.
I definitely think it works, and I think that every turn is pushing it, but you are using your bonus action. And that's
as a
what
rogue,
I'll say. You need your bonus action for stuff.
Yeah.
So you're using that as your bonus action every freaking turn.
There's no cunning action. You've lost your cunning action at that point. So this is
this
is a clutch
dangerous.
move. So again, if you're far enough, I mean, it's only 10 feet too, so it's not like you can do this from the distance. Like, if you want to be up on that, but then again, if you're going up against a wizard, that would be perfect. You walk up, you take his voice, and then you can
especially
just
if you
hack.
Stealth up behind him.
Yeah, you can just hack at him, because he has no choice if he doesn't get his voice back.
Mm-hmm.
So interesting, very interesting. I really hope that this comes together more, though. I hope that this synergy starts to come out. So we have borrowed time and we have stolen words. Oh.
It is a jump.
6 levels.
That's a jump. Now, I will say,
I know
you get a lot of staple, really cool features in between them.
So let's talk about those, because 6 levels, like, and again, it's just, we've talked about this before. Anything more than 3 levels, especially when it comes to subclasses, is like, you're basically saying you're not specialized anymore. Like there's a point to where I'm no longer specializing. I'm no longer growing in the thing that
you're not growing in your
uniqueness.
Yeah.
I am literally just everybody else. And we've talked about this every single time it comes up. Usually it's because we see 4 or more. But like 6 levels for me. So it's like, at this point, again, that's 6 levels that I'm abusing this. That my only thing that makes me unique is
just
this.
using the crap. Yeah,
because yes, once in a while I can re-roll an ability. Even if you give me enough proficiency, again, without this being equal to your proficiency bonus, this is not a feature of mine. Like, well, it's a feature, but it's not a standout feature. I'm not going to be known for that. All I'm going to be known for is being able to shut down a wizard, because unless I'm using this as roleplay and narratively, like I take the voice of a general, but again, it's within 10 feet, so they know I'm doing it.
And they can run away from you, yeah.
Yeah, unless this works on an unconscious person, but then they can't save, so I don't know how that works. And that's like so even narratively, if I'm 10 feet from somebody and then I steal their voice, how do I convince somebody else that that's what they heard? And you know what I mean? Like, there's so many weird things to like try to make this work, that if that's the cornerstone between level 3 and level 9, am I actually going to be able to use this so much that it becomes like, that's the guy I am?
This is what I want. I want to pick this class.
Or is it, am I just a rogue and this is happening once in a while when I get close enough to a wizard? Like, I'm just trying to think of what else can I use this for.
I'm not gonna lie. I feel like a lot of 5e classes are kind of like that. Even the assassinate.
Oh no, we've said this so many. Again, this isn't necessarily an issue with
rogue
Cat Darkness
specifically, because like I said, we were talking earlier. I don't think we've done a rogue subclass yet, because I think this is the first time we've seen this big of a jump.
And it's typical with them.
This with all rogues.
Okay,
with all rogues.
And so again, not a comment upon Cat Darkness, just like with everybody else that this has come up with. This is a comment against Wizards of the Coast and how that they've designed these to be built
There's a
out
lot of
because I just
changes
don't
coming up
agree.
with that,
There's
so,
huge changes coming up. So
know.
let's hope that they finish that. But yeah, anything beyond 3 levels, and I don't mean like even with the standard upgrades, you know what I mean? I'm talking about when you do a 5th edition subclass. I personally think the subclass, something specialized should happen every 3 levels at minimum. Like at no more than every 3 levels, right? Because at 3rd level, then you get one at 6, then 9, but you still get the ones at 5th, you still get the ones at 10, right? Like it doesn't have to always be perfectly offset in my opinion.
It does feel like you're waiting a lot.
Like you could do one at
classes.
3 and then wait till 6 or 7. That's still a little bit long, but you get the ones at 5. And then again, if you do one at like 9 or 11, like as long as you're doing them within 1 or 2 of the major, I'm fine. But like this, I'm just not doing anything as a rogue. And if I can't figure out how to use this every gaming session, I mean, again, how often are people really leveling up? Like how often, are people really on average leveling up every gaming session? Like then this may not be that bad, but even then you're telling me that that's 6 gaming sessions at bare minimum that I have to hope that I'm using this every gaming session for 6 gaming sessions and it either being funny, like we're all having a great laugh about it, or it's super useful. Like again, I'm shutting down my job is to get into the combat, get near the wizard and shut them down. And if that's my thing, that's totally fine. But maybe the subclass should be more about shutting down magic and shutting down other people than just wizards.
I'm going through scenarios in my mind about how this might be able to be used. Just out of curiosity, would you say, like, if I'm stealthed somewhere within 10 feet of somebody, could I use this on somebody that has no idea where I am?
Why not? You can see them.
The way you described it is I'm
getting
your attention.
But and that's the other thing too, is how
you.
is sleight of hand without magic? I mean, I guess this is magic. I mean, you have to explain it as magical because it's you can see, but they don't have to see you.
I mean, it goes back to, if you're going the veil mentality, and it's very similar to the
And you're piercing
borrowed,
a veil, and you're
it's some sort of ethereal, some sort of, I don't want to say magic, because when you say magic, most people think of like spell slots.
So
instantly.
if this is a veil where you can affect other people, then why isn't this first one where borrowed time, where I can make somebody else who makes an ability check, I can make them re-roll it at disadvantage? Like you made your you like an enemy made it, and you're like no, re-roll that and your disadvantage.
Would technically still work with the new ability. You'd just be there.
That's my point.
Their counter
so
ability.
So, and that's my thing is like if the veil that we're talking about so far is I'm reaching into the veil and I'm able to affect things, because it's not a single veil, right? Like these don't make sense for one veil. Like it's not just the veil of the dead or the veil of shadows. So if we're using this veil walker as in I can step between the world and affect worlds, I can take your voice without magic. If that's the kind of veil we're talking about, then instead of my own ability check, I should be inflicting other people. I should say, oh, you succeeded? No, re-roll that, and this time do it at disadvantage.
Right.
That's like a double fuck you. That's like, and again, being able to do that might make more sense at a long rest. I still agree with proficiency, but you're shutting down BBEGs and anybody, someone makes a grapple check, and you're like, no, try again. I want you to be grappled.
That would actually be cool, especially if you could do it to somebody. Oh my gosh, if your barbarian goes to grapple somebody and they're like contested and they beat out of it, they're like, nah, bro.
No, re-roll that disadvantage. Like that to me. Now we're talking about. See, now I'm understanding the veil walker. Now you're talking about a veil that no one understands, because a veil, right? And you're a veil walker. You are able to manipulate the world. You can pass beyond that veil and manipulate things beyond people's understanding, and it's not necessarily magic.
That's a pretty simple change too, and that would make the rest of things flow. Well, at least so far. So do you want me to go over the?
Yes. So give us the picture now that we understand.
9.
We have borrowed time, so we can change one ability that we did at disadvantage once per long rest, and now we can steal people's voice for a turn,
okay,
or for a round, a single. Yeah. So what do we get next until level 9?
4th level is your standard ability score improvement or taking a feat, which again can be. there are elements like this where people are feeling like, okay, this is you building your specific kit. Like, do you want to be better at dexterity? Do you want to get that up to a 20 and just hit really hard all the time? Or do you want to add a whole other feature to yourself? So
and specialize or characterize.
Exactly. So it's like your own custom feat, like a class feat, except it's from the full-on list. Then you get, at 5th level, this is a huge staple, is Uncanny Dodge. Uncanny Dodge is the ability to, it's basically you take half damage when you would take full damage when you're doing like a dexterity saving throw.
Gotcha.
Or you can take no damage if you
would take half.
If you would take half, exactly.
Gotcha.
So,
and that's pretty big. So again, this is perfect. This is why we want to do this, because this is what we weren't doing before, right? We would have just kept on going with just these and just make assumptions. This is really important because talking about synergy, that is a huge staple to rogues. Of being able to save out of that damage. I don't really see that blending at all with this so far.
It's a saving throw, so you really can't use anything you have to help you with that.
So, in that particular case, it's one of those things where, if you're imagine being able to stack those too, right? Like imagine being able, if we did our borrowed time where you can make someone else's ability check that succeeded go into disadvantage. Like, imagine being able to use that ability, make them re-roll it at disadvantage, and then you have Uncanny Dodge. So not only
Let me correct myself real quick. So what I just described to you guys is accurate, but that's evasion, and that doesn't come till 7th level.
Oh, gotcha.
Uncanny Dodge is whenever somebody hits you with an attack and you would take damage, you just have the damage.
Oh, okay, so first you get to have the damage. Later on, you'll get to do the reduction.
You have to use your reaction to do that. So you can only do it like once per turn, basically. So if you get hit with like 4 attacks, you're not having all of the damage. You're just doing it to
it's
one
just the
attack
one time.
per turn.
Okay. Interesting. So you just have the damage. Okay.
So that's Uncanny Dodge, and then after that, you get at 6th level, you get another expertise. So you get to choose another one of your skills that you're proficient in and double the proficiency bonus.
Gotcha.
Then at 7th level, you get evasion, and that is when, whenever you would make a dexterity saving throw to take half damage,
you take none.
You take none, and if you fail, you take half.
Okay, now see, this is a great opportunity. Level 6, as written, level 6, I would suggest should have given another one of these abilities, because you can only have one per long rest, according to how it's written. We should have gotten another borrowed time at level 6.
Okay,
this is what I mean by what Wizards of this is what Wizards of the Coast is missing, right? At level 6, that subclass, if you don't necessarily want to add a whole new extra feature, it should at least double down, or it should lean into what you've already done.
Yep.
Because again, at level 6, like, I'm getting to know my character, I'm doing more with it, and I'm not getting to do anything with my subclass, right? If anything, when we do subclasses, level 6, if you're not going to add something brand new, level 6 to 7 should really be that lean into whatever it is you've already got. Because we talked about that before, where
For sure.
we always feel like we get this cool ability up front, but later down the road, it's not growing with us enough. And so if one of these other, side abilities just gave us a little bit of a boost, it would like make us feel so much better and so much more in tune with the character.
For sure.
Okay, so we get that through level 6, and then
it's expertise at level 6, evasion at level 7, and at level 8 you get another ability score improvement or a feat. So there's another potential feature you can add there, and then finally at level 9 we get your next roguish archetype feature.
And then at this one, we get level 9, Sanctimonious Silence.
Sanctimonious Silence.
So I'm getting where Stolen Words, now Sanctimonious Silence, those kind of seem to go together.
Right.
Borrowed Time is now even falling further away from Understanding, or at least
well, let's read synergy. The ability first.
Yeah. So
I still think
at ninth level, while hidden, you make no sound. So this basically, if you successfully hide, you go full rogue and go silent. All skill checks that use your dexterity modifier are made with advantage while hidden and produce no sound. So whatever you're doing ability check wise, or dexterity-wise. Anything dexterity-wise.
So if you're lockpicking while stealthed, or if you're pickpocketing while stealthed, all that stuff is done at advantage.
Yeah, all of your standard rogue abilities, which would make dexterity, the stolen words, also count.
Yes.
So because it's sleight of hand. So maybe that's kind of where they're going with it, is with the stolen words, you'll get, if you're hidden within 10 feet, you'll get a bonus. But again, once you steal their thing, you can only shout, and then immediately they're going to get their voice back and then be like, no, I didn't say, you know what I mean? Like, that's only roleplay wise, but I'm really trying to figure out how that's going to be beneficial.
My question is this: if you're hidden while you say those words, are you still silent? I mean, you're not silent anymore, right? Like, you're speaking, right? Like, I mean, granted, it's not a dexterity ability, so it's only your dexterity abilities that are silent, but still.
Okay. So if you go hidden successfully, everything you do is silent when it comes to dexterity modifier and your movement. Additionally, when you successfully use your stolen word feature on a creature you are hidden from, here's the synergy.
Okay.
They instead lose the ability to speak for 1 minute or until you are detected. On each of its turns, the target creature can attempt to make a charisma check contested by your dexterity to speak a single word or whisper a fragmented sentence or cast a spell. Okay, so
interesting.
I'm getting where the attempt to merge all of this is, but again, I do have some reservations, right? So sanctimonious silence makes you go completely silent movement wise when you're hidden, and then anything you do that's based on dexterity, completely silent. That is a cool rogue feature.
And I think that could even fit into the Veil vibe too. Like, imagine you're stepping into a silent
it's just that
whatever.
By this level, it doesn't... I'm not arguing that it couldn't make sense, but it doesn't link any of this, right? Because at first it's an ability reroll,
yes.
Then it was a stolen voice, now I'm fully silent. None of these... they're all cool abilities, and they all could be attributed to the Veil, but together, I'm still having a really hard time understanding where, like, is this magic? Is this like when we're talking about I can do this for up to a minute? Can someone dispel this? Because if not, what am I doing? Again, and if it's some veil, why are all of these abilities from this unknown veil? You know, because there's no one veil that makes sense to me personally. I just don't understand.
Yeah.
And then we're a veil walker, but it's almost just like we're touching into a veil. We're not really... We're not really doing it.
I mean, this would be the closest one to walking in another veil. Like, I imagine, like, as you walk into the veil of shadows.
So
like,
it's a really great rogue feature, 100%. But I'm just having a hard time understanding, like...
Theme-wise.
Well, and again, this is making me more now just realize that if that's the case, if I'm waiting till level 9 to do this, I'm really... Between level 3 and 9, you know, that's 6 levels, I'm really just becoming more of a rogue. Like, realistically, this is leaning into that, my cornerstone is stolen words. I should be using this every game, somehow. Because it's obviously showing me that this is only going to get more powerful. So for 6 levels, I'm having to figure out how to use stolen words consistently. And then I'm also becoming just a standard rogue, being able to hide in shadows and sneak. Because, again, at 9th level, that's what's going to... increase, right?
So I just thought for a second. My question is, if stolen words is the cornerstone of this build, like, genuinely, what is the biggest usefulness of this? With the biggest regular usefulness of it? Is it shutting down wizards? Is it just that? Is it making sure you can't speak? If I can speak in your words, how does that really benefit me if I can only do it for a turn?
I mean, you might be able to get off like commands to enemies.
Could you potentially use it to activate something like a command word or something? That like, imagine I'm attuned to an item that requires a command word to activate.
But we've talked about this. I think that's the same conversation as we've just recently had in the Discord about activating scrolls at a distance. Isn't it the same? Because
I would say specifically because scrolls aren't command word activated. No, these things are. So like, imagine.
But then you're basically just saying that anybody that can mimic your voice could activate it from a distance. Like, I don't believe the command word is just voice recognition.
I would say this is different. So the way that I feel that this is worded, this is different than mimicry. mimicry, I feel like would not work. That is my voice doing something. The way this sounds to me is I have stolen your actual voice.
So
if that's the case, like I feel like there's precedence for me to like.
But if that's the case, how do I justify having this for my entire? Like, why would I build this character to do that? Like, how often am I going to get to do that?
That's my point. But like, that's what I'm trying to figure out more versatile uses of this.
Because
right?
it's the issue is the 10 feet. Because realistically speaking, if I'm going to do this in combat, at best I might be able to distract the enemies for one round. I might be able to get them to look away. I might be able to say retreat. I might be able to get them to focus on the barbarian and not the wizard. I don't know, right? Like, at what point does the person with the voice regain control? Like, how many rounds after that does he just retell them that wasn't me? Like, so there's that. Because again, I'm only 10 feet away. Yes, at level 9, it's better if I'm hiding, but at the same time, I would have had to learn how to do that. And I'm just trying to figure out, is this a combat thing or is this meant to be roleplay? Because even with roleplay, think about how often can I really hide by someone that I need their voice? How often I would need to find that person, be within 10 feet, hide, use the power, and then use it without them immediately undoing whatever I did.
My whole mindset is, what are we doing this for?
I don't know.
Like,
that's what I'm a little confused.
What's the biggest value?
I wish we had XCat here. I wish XCat could give us a little bit more like
I'm trying to
substance.
look for it. I'm trying to see, like, there might be some possibilities. Like, there might be some ways that we could go about this to make this somewhat useful. I'm trying to be creative with how we can do that. And I think that using command words is an additional versatile way.
I don't disagree with you. It's just like, it's very situational.
How else? Yes, but that's just one of the other situations. And we get added to the pile and added. And so then you can be like, all right, now I have... But again, the problem with that is if I'm looking for all of these unique situations, how often am I going to remember I have this ability? How often am I going to be like, oh, here's the situation? You know, it really wants to be something that's it feels a lot more common, a lot more consistent with what you're trying to do.
And I think that's really what it is. It's like, you know, just like with the ability check, it's not often enough. Stolen words, it just doesn't feel like I'm going to use it often enough. The silence, I would use the crap out of it. Anytime I hide, I'm automatically silent. That's golden.
Yes.
But the additional time for taking the voice, it's like... It's for 1 minute. That's great, but I have to remain undetected to remain using the voice. And like you said, the moment I use the voice, unless I have ventriloquism, they're gonna know where the voice.
I could see a cool little combo where, like, say if I'm hiding behind the person, just a weird scenario, but like, say there's a dude addressing their troops or something like that. They're about to go into battle or something, and the wizard's way off somewhere, but he's able to cast like hold person on him for whatever reason, which lasts for about a minute.
Yeah.
And so now you give a rousing speech as this commander hidden from the darkness, and everybody thinks it's him.
And this is all great, although
situational,
but at the same time, hold person, silence, 2 spells.
Well, then, no, not silence, just hold person.
No, I know, but I'm saying without this, hold silence and silence, or silence and hold person, boom, he's now held, can't speak. I know silence is usually like a big area, which is unfortunate, but the idea would be you could shut him down just like you were saying, and then I could basically use ventriloquism, and I think there's a feat that you can also mimic, like voices. So I'm just thinking, like, do I need a whole subclass, or can I just have the right 2 spells and 2 feats?
Oh, you're talking about to
get the same get to the same outcome, because I don't know so far if this is the goal. An entire campaign, me playing this character just for that one moment, it feels like I should just be prepared to have feats that also match what else I can do. But I don't feel like these are situations that are going to be common enough.
Yeah, and it's again, we talked about not too long ago when we talked about classes overall and like how and what we feel like they should be more about who your character is. And so, again, choosing this subclass to me should be more about, hey, this is who my character is. He's a Veil Walker. He's this man in the shadows. He's the one.
He's manipulating the world that nobody can see,
exactly.
right?
He's the weird puppeteer.
He's the man in black.
Like really, that nobody ever sees. He's an observer. You know, the guy in the background.
Like, again, the fact that once he goes into the shadows, he's gone. Like, he's totally like I love that. I guess the stolen words is very weird for me. I think that's the one that's standing out. And again, borrowed time still needs to have more options, right? I think right now the silence is cool. I think stolen words is tripping us up. We'll keep going, but I think that's really where it's feeling like I can't really. I wish XCat was here to kind of explain where this came from, like
going.
what setting or what their intent was, because I feel like we'd have a much better tangible idea if this came from like, I mean, even if this came from like an anime or some kind of like, I plan to run this kind of campaign, so this is where it was going to be used. I really feel like that would really like give us that holistic view. But as of right now, I think Stolen Words just doesn't feel like there's enough to make that the cornerstone. And that's really what you did. Like, it's kind of like, here you get it at third level, and you're going to just ride with this, and that's going to be you.
I do like that everything's building off of it. I just
that is
wish
a huge
that
mark.
it did more.
That is a huge mark for XCat, though, is the fact that level 9 immediately gave you some stuff, but then said, hey, that ability you have, it's better now.
Yes.
Which is why level 6, as written, should have at least given another one of the ability check rerolls.
Yeah.
All right, so anything between level 9 and 12, or level 13?
So we got at 10 another ability score improvement, which is
Or
pretty
feat.
good. Or
Yep.
feat, yep. And at 11, we get reliable talent. Reliable talent. Let me remind myself what exactly that is. Where are you at?
I'm not familiar with that
reliable talent, you have realigned your chosen skills until they approach perfection. Whenever you make an ability check that lets you add your proficiency bonus, you can treat a d20 roll of 9 or lower as a... So this is the... So you can treat an ability score of 9 or lower as a 10. So that means you can't roll lower than a 10.
Right, so if 10 doesn't match, then you can at least do your other thing, which with the borrowed time, which lets you reroll at a disadvantage, but you can never roll against a 10.
I don't think that this what do you call it? I don't think this removes nat ones.
Yeah.
I think nat one's still a nat one.
It just you can't go below a standard 10.
So if you roll between a 2 and a 9, you
should
got a 10.
Yeah.
You automatically get a 10, and then whatever your bonus is. So if your bonus is, like, say if this is the thing you have expertise in, by this time you're level, what's reliable talent? That's 11?
Yeah.
You're level 11, you could easily have a plus 10 in your proficiency bonus with something you have expertise in.
So you would just never... So basically it would have to be like an impressive roll to fail.
Yes.
So yeah, okay, so that's kind of going in with the reroll. I still think at that point, yeah, because you're not getting that till level 11, I still think you should have borrowed time equal to your proficiency bonus, because even now... It's a late game. Now it's not even overpowered. If you had this earlier on, it could have been overpowered.
Sure.
But now, no, that's totally fine. Okay, and nothing at 12?
At 12, another ability score improvement.
Okay.
And at 13, you get your Roguish Archetype feature.
Okay.
I did not realize Rogues got so many ASIs.
Yeah, they got a crap ton.
Only people that get more than them is fighters.
I don't know how to pronounce this next word.
Oh. It's
Irascible? Irascible isolation.
Let me look that up.
So, starting at 13th level, when you deal sneak attack damage to a creature under the effects of your Stolen Words feature, you subject the target to forces beyond the veil. So this is the first time we've actually heard about the veil, by the way, too.
Okay,
so another thing that...
This is the first time we've actually got a description about what's happening, too.
So all of the creature's senses are reduced to a range of 10 feet. Beyond this range, it is blinded and deafened. This remains in effect as long as the creature is subject to your Stolen Words ability. Okay, so I get where we're going with this. I'm starting to understand this, like, you're a sensory deprivation rogue. That's really what we're talking about here. Okay,
Okay.
Having to wait to level 13 to figure that out, I personally, as a player, I would have abandoned this. Like if I have to wait to level 13 to realize what I'm actually doing, because at first I have to be within 10 feet to take the person's voice only for one turn. I have that for days, and then eventually I can take it up for 1 minute. But I'm a better hider. And then now at level 13, I can actually do something and be like, hey, you can't hear, see anything within 10 feet. You are basically 10 feet is your world right now in every possible sense. Like, that's what I'm going to be. That's what I'm becoming. I should have been getting sensory deprivation every other level. Like, you should have given me a new sense to take away. First, it should have been their voice. Then it should have been their sight. Like why instead of stolen voice, why isn't it that... Instead of Stolen Words, why isn't it like I could have
stolen sense. Maybe just give them the option to choose which sense you
yeah,
want to
which
take.
sense or to dampen. Like now I'm thinking psionics, like the metabolic
Right.
psionics, where was if this is sensory deprivation, should I have just been like, hey, you can't speak beyond 10 feet? You know what I mean? So no one can hear you. Like doesn't fully take away a wizard. But then a couple levels later, we could have been like, you can't see beyond 10 feet. So even if you are a wizard, you can't target anybody beyond 10 feet now. A couple levels later, you could have given me, you can't feel, so you can't do somatics because you can't actually tell you're numb. So you can't, you're like,
Like when you have your numb mouth, like you don't know. It's yeah.
So it's like, so
totally
that's
see
what
that.
so again, I'm just feeling like if I have to wait till level 13 to fully realize what's going on, I cannot imagine myself using just stolen words this long to finally be like, oh, now I can actually like basically make their world tiny. And then that doesn't work as well for melee because unless your entire party is ranged, the moment someone gets into their attack range, that person has full value of you. Like you are in their 10 feet. You know what I mean? Like unless the thing that, again,
yes.
what this is
But
telling
if
me is,
they're a ranged fighter, then they're pretty much screwed.
which is telling me this is an anti-mage build. This is still telling me to this day, if you think about it, with everything that we've had, if you really look at like what is the most effective use of this character, if this is in your party, you want them to go after wizards, period. At this level, think about that. Think about this high of gameplay. I'm now running, I can basically get anywhere, I can hide anywhere, you can't find me, and if I'm within 10 feet of you, I knock you out. You can't see your targets, you can't speak to your targets, you know what I mean? Like realistically, the most beneficial is going to be going after a wizard.
I really feel like another feature that should have been added is increasing the range on it. I like it being 10 feet at the beginning, but like maybe get it up to 30 feet, maybe get it up to like
absolutely.
6,
no,
100%
at level 10.
Eventually, you're not going to want to be right next to the mage if you're going to do this. Like, what if they're a smart mage, they're going to be hanging out in the back of the party. That means you're going to have to get past all the other melee fighters.
And here's the other thing, too. You reduce their senses to a range of 10 feet. Guess who's within 10 feet? You.
Yeah.
So you're hopefully in hiding, but the moment they get out of shadow, I mean, I don't know about y'all, but the idea of hiding during combat, like at least after the first like 2 rounds, it is almost just it's just not happening a lot of times for rogues, right? Like once you're fully in combat, there really isn't as many opportunities to continue hiding.
And depending on your terrain, but yes.
But I'm talking about like campaign wise, there are plenty of opportunities that arise, but from encounter to encounter, it is not a common feat that the entire battle I'm popping in and out of hiding spots and getting my my damage done. Like maybe every third combat you'll get that opportunity, but I personally have not seen that where it is so common that being 10 feet away is going to be something that I'm going to be reliably able to do every combat session. So by level 13, you're absolutely right. This should be up to 60 feet maybe, or 30 feet even. Like it could have gone from 10 to 20 at level 9. It could have gone to 30 feet at level 13.
Right.
Because yeah, it's like if this isn't magic, if we're not saying this is magic and that this is some otherworldly force that you can do, because again, it can't be dispelled. It's not like somebody can dispel magic and make and have someone's voice come back. So
they do have the saving throw to save out of it, but
they do have the saving throw. But yeah, it's like we built. I'm really curious how XCat built this. I'm really curious if they built this from the end. It almost feels like, did you have the whole idea and then just try to figure out what was the way to how do you back out?
How do you start it?
So I wonder if that was the case. But yeah, it's like the 10 feet, you're 100% right. I think the 10 feet by now, I just don't know how reliable and consistent I'd be able to do it.
Because I'm also thinking, like, if you're realistically trying to get sneak attack on somebody, how are you going to do that? Are you going to just pull out a bow and arrow to do it?
Yeah, you're going to try to be in the shadows and you're going to
do a ranged attack. Like, you want to be at range, right?
Yeah, range attack. If you're going to do melee, you have to, use this. And then again, we're reducing all of their stuff to 10 feet, so it's not meant for melee fighters, because unless you all have ranged, you're not helping the melee fighter. And again, the melee fighter just has to run in the direction that they were last shot at, So it's kind of beneficial there, but it's best used against rangers because now they can't see their target. It's best used against mages because they can't do their spells. They can't see their targets. They have no idea what they're basically isolated. It's good for healers because now healers can't get off their healing spells. They can't see their allies. But that's telling me that me as a player, I'm not as effective in battle. Because while I have control, I have control over the combatants, but I now have to be stuck next to that guy. And if I do anything, I come out of hiding.
Especially because the one that you get a little bit later on allows it to last for a minute.
Yeah.
Do they have to stay within that 10 feet range the entire time, the entire 1 minute, or can they wander and go wherever they want?
And that's a much bigger deal, right? Because if that's the case, then you can start doing the thing where you walk behind like the general, you grab his voice real quick, and then you run away. But then what's he doing for a minute, not voiceless? Do you think he doesn't notice that he's voiceless? Mm-hmm. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of weird, unique questions. But again, coming down to if the whole point is this isolation, right? If this whole point is me taking down their senses, I feel like, again, and this is just pedanticness, but the terms that we've been getting, like Veil Walker, isn't just hitting the mark with these abilities. I feel like this should have been more like almost to the Psionicis build that we talked about a long time ago, the metabolic Psionicis, right?
Right.
That had ability to do all of this stuff. And that's what this really feels like. It just feels like that this should have been more trickle feed, like you said, trickle feed the abilities, what I could take away from them, because I don't feel like the voice is enough. But being able to blind them, or at least shrink their line of sight, being able to,
deafen them,
like all
Imagine
of that.
They don't know you're using their voice. Imagine you're like calling out to their teammates and being like, hey, you go stand guard over there.
Right, because like at third level you get to do one. You get to steal the voice, make them deaf, make them blind. Mm-hmm. But then later down the road you can do two of those at the same time. So you can make them deaf and use their voice, so they don't know, they're just freaking out. And then you just keep doing this, you keep adding the effects to take on one person, but you're basically doing everything but commanding them, right? Like, that would make a lot more sense. I just don't know if this is really getting there properly. All right, so what do we get moving forward between 13 and 17 standard?
Alrighty, 13 and 17. Starting at 14th level, you get... is that really standard? Well, I don't think I've ever seen a rogue at level 14 then. So you get Blind Sense. If you are able to hear, you are aware of the location of any hidden or invisible creature within 10 feet of you.
See, that makes me want the next ability for this. Like we were talking about, it should have been further that you can see. Like it should have started out at 10 feet, then maybe go to 30 feet, and then maybe by now 60 feet. Imagine if the next level 17 was any enemy you're aware of within 30 feet. Because then, this ability, as long as you can hear him, you can go, stole your voice. Don't have to see you. I just know you're within 30 feet. Stole your voice. That, my God, would make it, that would make this thing actually, beneficial, because then you could just be within 30 feet, hear a guard, and shut him down. He can't see, he can't hear. And then by this time, again, we talked about, you would have been adding senses up to, level 13. You would have had, all the senses. And then imagine level 16, you could add another person. Then you can affect two people at once. So imagine you have a pair of guards. You shut them both down. They don't know. They can't see each other. They can't talk to each other. They don't know what's going on. Bro, this thing could have...
You're like a single target person. But even just being able to expand it to two people, that's huge. Imagine being able to do, a small area. Imagine it's, a 10-foot bubble.
Yeah.
You can do anybody inside that 10-foot bubble. You could affect their senses. Maybe now you can't steal all their voices, but something like that. Like that...
Yeah.
Now we're building something here.
Yeah, see, now I'm starting to feel like this rogue is manipulating, like a social rogue, right? He's like a social engineer. He's manipulating the world around him. I mean, it's definitely giving me those psionic vibes because it's not really magic, but... depending on, and that's where I'm also having a hard time. How is this all happening, right? How does any of this make sense without psionics? It's the only example I have is because it's the only thing that happens without obvious, spells. If this isn't spell magic, what am I really doing? And manipulating the veil, psionics, it's really just basically calling it non-magic, right? It's non-magical magic.
Yeah,
if that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, okay, so that's really interesting. So anytime you can hear, you know where they are.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Within 10 feet. Next is going to be Slippery Mind. 15th level, you acquire greater mental strength. You gain proficiency in wisdom saving throws. Simple as that. Just you get
Okay.
wisdom saving throws. I forget what saving throws do you start off with as a rogue?
I'm assuming dexterity and probably wisdom.
Why am I dexterity and intelligence?
Intelligence. Okay.
Dexterity and intelligence. Okay, and then lastly, another ability score improvement at 16th level, or you can take a feat.
Okay. All right. So now we get to level 17, Nameless Unbound. Again, throwing me for a loop with the names. I'm not really even just.
Sure, what's
And we
happening?
love. I mean, again, it's not necessary, but
quick.
we do love some synergistic names that tell a story, and I just
did-
haven't really like understood what we're going with these titles.
I did look up that first word. I still don't know how to pronounce it. Hold on, let me see if I can
Oh,
get this to
irascible?
speak. Irascible, yeah. It says having or showing a tendency to be easily angered. That's really what it means. So it's being easily angered isolation. I think.
So
Yes.
I okay, and maybe this is just for a lack of additional text, but it's like you would think that this would say that you put them in a blind rage to where they can only react to things within 10 feet of them, right? Instead of just you take their voice and all of their like. If irascible means like if you're gonna use the word, why not incorporate it into the ability? It seems like you're making them so angry that they just can't.
That they ignore everything else.
Almost
outside
like
of
enraged,
that.
like almost being enraged,
Yeah.
but that's not what they're. You're just saying that you've just reduced all of their things, right? So again, really,
Interesting.
yeah, very, very interesting. I would have loved to see just a little bit of understanding of how that's working, and maybe that's it. Maybe it's open to interpretation. Maybe it's meant to
For
be.
sure.
But I feel like that could help make it make sense. But that's interesting. Yeah, making them so mad, like that's an interesting idea. All right, so Nameless Unbound, level 17. Starting at the 17th level, you know the value of self, and you know it can be stolen.
Okay.
I mean, again, I'm loving the ideas individually. I'm just... it's not coming together as a whole. As an action, okay, we got an action now. As an action, you can reach beyond the veil and steal away an aspect of a creature. The target makes a saving throw determined by the chosen aspect. DC equals 8 plus your proficiency plus your dexterity modifier. On a fail, the target is subject to its effect. So one of the following, you can take body. The target makes a strength saving throw on a failure of all strength saving throw. On failure, all of the creature's movement speeds are reduced by 10 feet for 1 minute. Mind, the target must make an intelligence saving throw. On a failure, you learn what it values most and what it most wants to keep secret. And that's two very important pieces of knowledge.
Interesting.
Identity. The target must make a charisma saving throw. On a failure, the target can no longer tell friend from foe for 1 minute. So it's kind of like casting confusion. Roll D4 on the table to determine how the target will act. They will attack the nearest creature it can find or move to attack the nearest creature. It is frightened of every other creature for the next round and chooses to cower in place. The creature wants what you took back and will only attack you or seek out if it cannot find you. The creature will only attack the last person to deal damage to it for the duration. Once you have stolen an aspect, you cannot steal the same aspect again in this way until you finish a long rest. So again, I see where they're trying to use the veil to I think what happened is they had these ideas of what they wanted to do, and it sounds like they tried to find something that would justify it all. So I think that they're using this veil concept because this is like one of the only times we get some sort of description, like reaching into the veil to steal an aspect. That's giving me like Matrix vibes. Like I'm literally going into your programming. I'm taking something from you. That veil,
Kind of like Neo reaching into an agent or something.
exactly.
Like that.
So when it's talking about like you reach into the veil and pull something out, it's almost like that psionic. Like I'm reaching in and I'm manipulating what you are. And now what I'm starting to realize is if this isn't magic, should it be at a distance or should this be by touch? You know what I mean? Like should I have to touch you to do that?
Right.
Because then it would make a lot more sense that I'm like, again, nerve impulses or whatever. Like I can just almost like a monk. It should almost be like a monk. Like, man, imagine if this was a monk subclass and this was like, I forget what it is, but the technique of like using nerves to disable people, like there's a certain terminology for it. But imagine that was this subclass where it's you're a monk and all of these abilities are happening because you can just tag someone, and as long as you get a successful melee hit, you can take down their sight, you can take down their voice, you can take down all of their senses, pressure points.
Interesting.
Yeah, like, thank you. Big tangent. But yeah, like those ideas of being able to do these things, all of these ideas are cool. I'm just not seeing the big picture here, right? Because now, before I just stole their voice and I could say things like them and steal their voice. For so many levels, I just don't see the value. I just don't see enough value in stealing someone's voice.
It is, yeah.
And then eventually at level 13, it took us all the way to level 13.
First effect more than that.
For us to realize that we're here to make one person have sensory deprivation. And only minimally. And then we wait till level 17 to then decide that we can, like, take an aspect of them. And then thinking about these aspects, though, right? I can take their body, which means I can reduce their speed. Well, if I'm able to take their voice, why can't I also increase my speed? Like, if I'm taking it, why am I not using it? Mind, they must make an intelligence saving throw, but I learn information. I learn 2 very valuable pieces of information, by the way. Like, either of those, either or is one thing, like DM's discretion, but both? Because those aren't going to be, like, you learn what they value most and what it wants to keep secret. Like, 2 different things. 2 completely different things. And then identity, they can no longer tell friend from foe, but what are you gaining? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like this concept where you said I could take their voice and use it, but then I'm getting these other things that I can't use. Like, I could just shut down their sensoriness, right. And then now I can get info or affect them, but it doesn't do it. And then again, it's like, and it's also, okay, so starting something, they have a unit of value of stealth and how it can be stolen as an action. You can reach beyond the veil and steal away an aspect of a creature. Target must make a saving throw. So there's no range on this.
Does it even say, do you have to see them?
It just says as an action. You can reach beyond the veil, steal an aspect of a creature. That's it. That's all it says. So probably just a small oversight.
Maybe. I feel like it is, especially because they've been pretty
And if this is also going to be like the other ones, then... just like this one, right? When you deal sneak attack damage to a creature under your stolen words. So would we assume that this is only affecting someone who you've stolen words? Like, have you used stolen words against them and then you can also do this? So we're still at 17th level. We are only targeting one creature at this point. How useful, even in late game? I mean, maybe against the BBG, all of this is useful. But up until this point, you're telling me every combat I've only really been able to affect one creature that I have to be next to. It's not like it's a bad idea for like a one shot or like a handful of encounters, but for an entire campaign, like an entire, long run through 20 levels, what am I doing? Like, as a player, I'm struggling to understand what am I doing with this character, right?
Yeah.
What
am I building here?
Yeah, not just like, because it's twofold, right? Out of game, I'm trying to understand what am I doing for the party? Like, what is my purpose other than shutting down wizards, right? That's still all I can understand here is I'm shutting down wizards. Like, I don't know who else I would do this with, right? And then up until this nameless Unbound, which BBEG, like, I'm going after the BBEG, especially getting information from him and all that kind of stuff. But I don't understand how, outside of being a standard rogue that eventually can be better at hiding, I don't know what I'm doing for the team. I don't know what, and then playing the character. Hard thing that I'm having a hard time with right now, and it might be just because we don't have any like background or description.
Yeah.
But let's say I'm playing a character. I've chosen to be this. This is my lifelong path. What is my path? What is the veil? And what am I learning, right? At first I learned stolen words. 9 levels later, out of nowhere, I learned to hide better and I can steal their voice longer. And then 4 levels later, my sneak attack does better if I stole their voice. And then 4 levels later, or 4 levels later, I can do my sneak attack and then and reduce all of their things. And then 4 levels later, I can finally make them altered. I can alter something about them.
You can dampen their whole field.
So what am I doing? What am I learning? Like, am I learning to just manipulate people? Am I learning to like there, without lore, without understanding, without mechanics, I really don't know how to play this character. I wouldn't know what kind of personality this person is. What and how am I learning these abilities? How do I justify? And then of course, thinking about these abilities, like you said, there's a lot of ASI increases and a lot of other feats. There's not a lot of feats that come to mind outside of things like ventriloquism. That's the first and only feat that really tells me that works with this, right? Because if I steal someone's voice and then I can throw it across the room, I can stay hidden, right? And I can make enemies think that they hear their boss, right? That's the only... I'm trying to understand. ASI increases, of course, I'm going to want a bunch of dexterity increases.
Of course, until you at least get capped out at 20, which you will get capped out well before. Because if you're a rogue, I'm sure that you've made your dexterity your main stat.
Exactly.
So it's at least a 16 when you start your character. And what's that? 2, 3 ASIs and you're maxed?
Exactly. So it's like... what other feats outside, and again, and all I'm saying is like, what other feats specifically would enhance this versus just make me a standard rogue with some unique abilities once in a while, right?
Right.
It really does feel like this is just a standard rogue that really has to wait till late game, and I'm not sure what the journey is.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like if you gave me this at 20th level and I had all of these and it was kind of like a campaign where we're just doing like boss fights, totally understandable. Like late game stuff.
I'll mess with it, yeah.
But again, from 3rd to really 13th level. So for 10 levels, what am I other than a regular rogue who can take a voice?
Who can be a ventriloquist lightweight.
So therefore, what's my purpose other than going after wizards? I have to keep coming back to that because
I will say that there are a lot, especially in 5th edition, there are a lot of spellcasting classes.
I mean just spellcaster. I don't mean wizard as in that's the only class.
But that's like a good amount of granted, there's going to be a lot of melee people that it's not going to do a whole lot for unless you're just trying to command some troops of like minions or whatever. But when you think about being like in combat, like any cleric, any druid, well, druids still can wild shape, but druids do a lot of spell casting as well. Not so much paladins, but sorcerers going to have sorcery points at least, and if they take the subtle spell, they don't need verbal components, so they can just bypass that if they want to, if they have enough sorcery points. But then obviously you have wizards, but even meta magic is a feat, so any one of those classes could take meta magic as a feat, and then they have their own subtle spell, and then
and then you basically just have to hope that you just know who the spellcaster is, target them over and over and over.
Let me be right back.
So I love a lot of the ideas here. There's some really unique ideas going on this. By the way, we do have artwork. This was actually drawn by Cat Darkness, slightly modified, so ignore like the hard lines down here. Slightly modified by Kage to make it look better. But this is the image that we also got, right? So even this idea of like, I said this in the very, very beginning. I started to think of this as like, is this just going to be another Echo Knight? Misty Step came to mind, which even this image makes me think of like a Misty Step, right? It is super cool concept art. But when I try to piece all of this together, I'm really trying to understand like what is the whole process and the motivation for a character like this. So when I see Veil Walker, when I see an image like this, my first instinct is that I'm going to be able to do some traversing. And that's not far off. But I don't get to traverse, truthfully, until level 9. And I'm really only benefiting if I'm already successfully hiding. So if I can successfully hide, I just basically no longer have to worry about making skill checks for silence, because I make no sound, and then all my dexterity abilities are also no sound. But that's not the same as like what this implies. Like I'm going to be able to like, move through this unique veil, right? Or move through shadows, or just be able to, move in ways that are unnatural. That's what I would think when you think about Veil Walker when you see this image. So the fact that there aren't really any traversal abilities, that there's no travel mechanic, that there's no Misty Step or anything else like that, Veil Walker didn't paint the right picture for me, and this image definitely didn't come to fruition. Like I don't. This is not
You
what
don't
I
get the
imagined.
embodiment of it from looking at this.
And then just going through again, the naming structure was very hard for me to follow. But even just looking at the abilities individually, there are a lot of very great abilities. I don't think they all perfectly fit together with this idea. Some of them work together in pairs. Some of them are synergistic. Others, they seem a little forced. And then I will also say that while individually some of these ideas are pretty good, I don't know how much thought was put into the long haul. Like, again, taking into account like the first borrowed time. Cool ability, right? You think, hey, being able to reroll ability check, even at disadvantage, still cool. Still has a chance. But once per long rest for the rest of the game, like, that's it. I only
Like,
once per long rest, one ability check, and everything that else I can do seems to build
per long rest.
and everything builds off of me being able to do dexterity ability checks. So you would assume that I would want to be able to do this to guarantee my future abilities go off. But once per long ability or once per long rest, I again, am I going to remember I can do that? And am I going to use it ever? When am I going to decide this is the ability that needs to guarantee go off, right? Like, until I get down here to Nameless Unbound, and that's an action, and then it's a saving throw, right? So that's not even an ability check, so I can't use it for Nameless Unbound.
Yeah.
So I'd have to use it all the way at level 9 when I'm hiding, and then I can reduce all of their, their senses. At level 13. So really, I can't use Borrowed Time until level 13. Like truthfully be able to use it, right? Because otherwise, how do you know that that's the ability check you should have used it on?
Right.
It's just, it's very difficult to see how that's supposed to work with me the whole game. Stolen Words, I think, again, unique idea. I think my only real issue with it as is just the saving throw is weird. I think I would just choose a different saving throw.
Right.
But cool concept, really cool concept. I think a subclass based around it isn't a bad idea. Like, this idea of taking their voice, I think is kind of cool. But that makes me think this should have been like a chameleon type of road where I could take your voice and then I could start to look like you. Like, it's, a disguise, and then I could take your voice, and then I could...
Imagine you could make somebody else invisible against their will, and then you just almost like take their place, and you're just...
or imagine like eventually down the road you could like also you get abilities to like put people to sleep and then take their features. Like, at first your features are only you can take them while they're awake, and they have to be within like 100 feet of you. But then you get further and further away, but they can also be asleep. And then imagine having an ability where while you're acting like them, you can keep them in a coma. And then, like, once per day, you two have like a roll check. And if they come out, you lose the ability to like be them. It's like you stop sounding like them.
Imagine they finally make their check, and you're in the mid conversation with somebody,
and it just drops,
and you're just like,
but dude, like,
well, guess the ruse is up.
Do you see what I mean? Like, that's what it, like. And then again, you're talking about veil, right? Now we're talking about illusionary magic, right? So it's like, I like the idea what they were trying to go. I don't think the naming scheme was correct. I don't think the exact, both the pairing of some of these abilities as well as the progression. It just didn't. It didn't give me the feeling like I'm becoming something. It mainly felt like I'm a rogue that took really unique features.
Yeah.
So that's just
like there's definitely pieces of it that is going in the right direction, but there's other pieces that kind of like stick out, go in the wrong direction. So I'm like, it's possible, but it just needs a little bit of molding.
Sanctimonious Silence, because Veil Walker, right? This is the first time we get to have any idea that you are moving, right? Because you make no sound while you're hidden. This should have just had even like a small sentence that says, while hidden, with Sanctimonious Silence, starting at level 9, while hidden, you can move, because normally you have to make a stealth check, like what, every 30 feet or something, or like that, like you have to make stealth checks every time you move.
That honestly just depends on your DM. A lot of DMs will just say, hey, this lasts for X many turns. Hey, this lasts until...
So it's like, this one should have been like, while hidden, you no longer have to make stealth checks. Or, until you do an action, right? So it's basically just saying you can just...
Until something reveals you.
Basically, you can just do whatever you want as long as you don't attack someone. You don't have to make checks to stay hidden, right? You can move, you can go around the terrain, and as long as you can stay in a shadow, you don't make noise, you won't have to worry about... Like, just something like that, right? That could have made it, again, the veil concept of like, again, I'm thinking about now psionics, right? Like, this really reminds me of psionics. Imagine a Veil Walker. What if, similar to, you could steal someone's voice? Why isn't this more about taking their earlier on? Why is it taking their perceptions, right? They're like a Veil Walker. Why not a Veil Walker as in you can step into the Veil, and at early stages it would only be one target, and then kind of like psionics, as you get older, as you grow, it can be more targets. But imagine as a Veil Walker, you can step into the Veil, and like, for instance, for that one target, they can't see you. So you can make a hiding check. You don't have to be in shadows, but you can make a hiding check against a target creature that you can see, and you can step into the Veil and they can no longer see you. So it's basically the psionic of being invisible to one person, which is a psionic.
Right.
And then eventually you can grow this into being able to veil yourself away from multiple people. So the Veil is like you just stepping out of their
perception.
Perception. And imagine being able to do that. So first you can only do it against one target. Later down the road you can do it against multiple targets. Maybe it's one. Maybe you could do it against a target 1/4 of your level rounded down. So you'd only be able to do one target until level 4. And then eventually at level 6, you can finally do 2 targets, right? And then, so until level 6, you're only at 1 target. It's only until level 6 that you get 2 targets. And then at level 8, level 8's still 2 targets. So you wouldn't get another one until what, level 10? If it's a quarter rounded down, a quarter of your level. So a number of targets equal to 1/4 of your level rounded down, because then eventually you get up to 5 targets at level 20. So 5 targets, you could just be like, you can't see me, and just walk on through. Even in the middle of combat, can you be like, combat, there's 7 minions, those 5 can't even see me. I'm just going to focus on these 2. Those 5 will never even touch me. Imagine just being able to do that. Just have an ability where you can just be like, right now in combat, I'm only got to deal with these 2 people. That's it. And then you can just change it, right? Imagine being able to hit someone and then use that ability to be like, boop, I'm out of...
How would you rule? So, say you're saying these are the only 2 targets that can see me, right? Imagine one of those 2 targets is a spellcaster and they cast a spell Fairy Fire on you, which lights up your...
I would totally believe that it overrides your thing, because yours is like an illusionary spell against somebody that they can't see you, but you can't stop their magic from highlighting you. So even though you're still there on the material plane, but you've stepped into a veil, which is like an illusionary dimension that they can't see. It's almost like being here in my peripheral, but you're right there. But in my perception, you're them. Here, and it's only to me. So you stepped into the veil out of my view, but I can see the fairy fire around you. You're not anywhere new. You're just, it's literally like I'm looking here, but you're standing here. So the fairy fire goes, oh, well, there's a silhouette there. I don't know it's you. I just know there's a silhouette there now.
Okay.
And then once I hit you, boom, there you are.
Okay.
So again, I think like this could be really the direction we go. And if we're talking about that, if we're talking about a sensory rogue, right? That's the kind of idea. Like, this Veil Walker should be something to where, starting at 3rd level, you can just disappear. And then, oh my God, it's a rogue. I can disappear. How much easier is it when I start getting backstab? I can literally be like, hey, bro, boom, walk right around you.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
why aren't we doing that?
When you talked about being invisible to like 5 people, I'm like, yeah, I only have to focus on these 2 people, but also
I can backstab any of them
that can't even see me.
That's my point. And then again, the idea is that you would just make it to where if you attack one of the people that are under the veil, it drops immediately, just like any other invisibility. You just can't. So you could run with it, you could backstab with it. Like, that's what I'm thinking with this, right? Why am I stealing their voice and then eventually messing with their senses? I should be knowing that this build is all about the senses from the beginning, being able to hide myself from select targets, right? So, my team can still see me, enemies at a certain, and you can make it distance wise. Like, at first it's only within 10 feet. And then as you get, stronger, it's, it grows into like 30 feet max. So you don't have like, so not everybody on the battlefield can't see you, but they only have to be within a certain feet and only so many of them, right? It makes it a lot more tactical. It makes the Veil Walker aspect. I mean, if that's the cornerstone, right? If at level 3 you get this to where you can, do it within 10 feet, or, equal to a number of feet twice your level. That wouldn't be bad. So you can activate this on any target, a number of targets equal to 1/4 your level rounded down, up to twice your level in feet away. That's it. So at level 3, up to 6 feet away, you can disappear from one target. At level 8, it's 2 targets up to 16 feet. It's not that big of a deal. At level 20, it's 5 targets up to 40 feet away. That's not game breaking.
That's not bad.
That's not, in my opinion, that's not game breaking. But if that's the cornerstone of this, like, and we're not talking about we're not talking about just that ability, right? We're talking about like, as this one we said cornerstone, because stolen words was
just me. I would make it any target within 40 feet at 20th level, just because it's 20th level.
Oh, so any number of targets?
Yeah, anybody within this range.
Or would you accept at 20th level a number of targets equal to your level? Because at this point, I just don't know about anybody, but you're just more of an AoE. But AoE, no, it's actually, if that's your ultimate power at level 20, it's basically AoE at 40 feet.
Like, you just got this aura of veil
you just
around
literally
you.
just step into, so at that point, you're actually stepping into the veil. At first, it's like an illusion. This point, you're truly stepping into a veil, and anybody within 40 feet can't be aware of you. Oh, that could be dangerous.
It could be crazy.
Unless you, it could be like they can't be aware of you as long as you don't move and don't take action. If you move, they can like be, maybe that's like a passive perception or something. Like maybe you, but that would be really interesting. I like that, right? So that's the thing where my problem is with this is like, I think we're using the veil wrong. I think we're trying to just use the veil as an excuse to do these things, but it doesn't come together, right? Like being able to take their voice doesn't quite lead into the isolation, right, and the sensory deprivation, and that neither of those really lead into this nameless unbound where I can take an aspect of you, but I'm really just limiting what you can do. But again, I'm not really taking it. It doesn't really match the idea that I'm taking something from you and then being able to reproduce it. So I think that's just where I feel like this is just falling short. It's not that it's a bad build. It's just not painting a picture.
Right.
And I don't know personally, like I could probably build a campaign around this if a player wanted to play something like this. As a DM, I'd struggle to incorporate them well, but I'm sure I could figure out some ways to do this. But as a player, I don't know if this feels any different than just a rogue with realistically just some unique feats. But I'm not really getting I'm a Veil Walker. I'm not really getting an iconic image of this where it's like some of the other ones that we've gotten where it's like, oh, that's that. It paints the picture. Yes. I know exactly what I am start to finish. I know where I'm headed, and I know I can make a reason why, right? I could build a backstory. I could build a character arc around this. But with Veil Walker, again, I'm like, what puts you on this path? How do you even start this path? What's the end goal? Why do I want these powers, right? Because there's always like some sort of motivation, right? Like this doesn't seem like a like if this were a campaign base, right, where you like all the players had the player characters had a personal connection to the BBEG, then it kind of makes more sense to have this included as a one shot. Like, hey, you're the rogue that can do all this stuff, and here's the reason why. But for me to want to play this, I'm just like, why? What is my motivation as a player to take this character on? Because until level 13, I don't know what I'm doing with it. I'm just a rogue who can take someone's voice, and we've tried to throw out many scenarios that could be beneficial. Again, there's plenty of scenarios that ability could be super beneficial. But again, what's the difference of that versus by 6th level? I have 2 ASIs or 2 feats I could take by 6th level. I could take ventriloquism, and I could take mimicry, and I can copy anybody's voice, and not only copy people's voice, but I could shoot it from any other direction, right? So it's like I can make people think it's coming. So I could literally talk to you within 10 feet. I could take your voice, and that guard that's 30 feet behind you, I can make him think that you just yelled at him. And you don't know. You know why? Because I didn't let you hear it because I threw it over there. So I'm having a conversation with you, and little do you know, because like how, the movies and the scenes where people walk into a room and they're like, leave us. And all so imagine you get like the BBG or someone in the room and they're facing you, and little do they know their entire staff is leaving because you're just like, leave us, leave us, leave us. Just, oh, yeah, how's it going? Leave us, leave us. And then, so it's like, well, and then halfway through their monologue, they're like big and strong. They're like, you're in the middle of my house, blah, blah, blah. And you're just like, well, now that we're alone. And then you hear that, then at that moment, it's like the door closed. The final, like, and it's like.
And the last person out, you're like, and lock the door.
And then it's like, and then they just look around like, the fuck just happened to that's a dope ass moment. But do I need an entire subclass for that moment? Or Would ventriloquism and mimicry. I don't know what the feat is that you can take
Right.
the voice, but there at least was a feat that
Yeah,
you
I don't
could
know how
mock
much
the voice.
there's something like that. I
There
think
was-
it's
because
the actor feat.
Or yeah, maybe the new actor
let
feat.
me
But
actually-
I know that there used to be one. So you know what I mean? Like this could be solved. Like the ideas of this could
You
be
can mimic
solved.
speech of another person or sound.
Because you use that with like disguise, like you can do a whole disguise build with Rogue and
Yeah.
everything. So that's my thing, right? It's like, do I need a whole subclass on this? Because outside of stolen words, right? I think we've talked about that enough to death. We know that sanctimonious silence is really good for the hiding aspect. Doesn't really do a whole lot again for the words. It just extends the time. But if I have to be hiding, we don't know if you have to still stay within 10 feet of the person. It's becoming less and less useful. So let's go to the isolation part. Again, if it's not a mage, if it's not a spellcaster, and if it's not a ranged fighter, how much benefit are we getting by reducing all of their stuff to 10 feet? Like, if they're the boss, they can't yell out orders. But if they're a minion, they can't hear orders. Again, how often in gameplay and in combat are orders being shouted like common? Like there are some DMs who are really, really into that kind of stuff where like their battles are very tactical. They have their NPCs actually communicate, but not all DMs do that, right? Sometimes it's just who's next, whose turn is it next, what do you do? So how do you implement that benefit if it's not a spellcaster and if it's not a ranged fighter, reducing them to a 10-foot circle, but that's their range anyway? Anybody in that melee range,
They can still attack somebody who's adjacent to them, and they can still do
They can still
opportunity
move.
attacks when they're moving out of the way.
Hey,
they might
Hecate,
not
how's it going?
know where they're going.
Yeah.
But still.
And that's what I'm saying is like it doesn't really feel, and then like it doesn't really explain what are they just they cannot see anybody, or are they in darkness? Do they just see darkness after 10
Yep.
feet? It's like it's a very weird concept, and I just don't see it being, again, I don't know, because again, I'm trying to think of if I'm doing a subclass, right? The concept of a subclass is specialization, something that if I'm specializing it, I expect to be doing at least once per gaming session, not combat but gaming session, right? I should be utilizing my character specialty somehow. Again, up until level 13, I'm still not seeing how I'm using this character beyond a normal rogue.
Right.
And then the final one, the Nameless Unbound, it just doesn't do enough. You know what I mean? It's not spectacular enough for a 17th. It's just, I can make them slow for 1 minute. I can learn 2 very important pieces of information. Or I can make them confused for 1 minute.
I would definitely do a little bit more than that. For that last ability, I would probably beef up the body. Not only would I do it 10 feet, I'd probably give them disadvantage on their first attack for the remainder of the time, and give myself advantage on the, like if you're talking about stealing, like
you say the aspects. I was like, why not say like you can take temporarily for the next minute or for however long, you can take 2 ability points from any of their stats. So you could take 2 strength and add it to yourself. You could take 2 dex, add it to yourself. But then you also say, like, so you could take 2 strength for body. You could take, say, 2 intelligence for mind. And then identity can be like 2 wisdom, right? And so you can take those 2 and temporarily have them for like, that boost for extra 2 minutes, or an extra minute, which would be cool. But then you also have these things happen. So not only did they lose 2 points of strength, but they also lost 10 feet of movement. Not only did they lose 2 points of wisdom, but they also lost a memory that you now gained. And not only are they confused because you lowered their intelligence, so not only did they lose 2 points of intelligence, but now they're confused for 1 minute and don't know who to attack, right? That makes more sense because not only are you taking it, right? Again, the idea that we started out being able to take their voice, why am I not getting any benefits from this ultimate ability?
Right.
I think it would be cool that as a rogue, I could either take 2 points of dexterity or strength, whichever one you want to do for body, 2 points of wisdom or 2 points of intelligence, temporarily gain them for this, 1 minute, and you lose them for 1 minute. Like, again, imagine doing that to the general. You'd be like, that's an imposter. Like, imagine you disguise yourself, bust into the main hall, imposter! And he stands up, that's impossible. And then you cast this on him and you're like, lose your intelligence and be confused for 1 minute. And so for 1 minute, not only are you intelligent, or you take his, it would be intelligence, right? You take his intelligence, so now you talk better. Now you're like, excuse me, gentlemen, I can assure you, I am the real one. I would never act like such a monster. And then what is he doing? Completely going into rage because he doesn't know who's friend or foe right now.
Right.
He's flipping the table. He's yelling at his advisors. He basically looks like he's going psychotic and losing his mind. And if you could push him just enough say you have a bard in the party and does Vicious Mockery, and you aggravate him to the point of attacking somebody.
Yep.
That's, you know what I mean? Like, that sounds like way better. Or again, imagine you're fighting a barbarian. You can take 2 points of strength off of them, and then they're slow. Now you're 2 points stronger, and your backstab works a little better. Like, I'm just thinking, like, these are the things that I would have expected. Again, reaching beyond the veil, taking these things from them. If that's what I'm doing, I should be taking them, not removing them, if that makes more sense.
Right. Interesting.
So it's almost like there's two things that it was like there was an idea that this wanted to be, and there's the route that it went, and both are amazing, right? Like, the Veil Walker name is awesome, the image is awesome, and some of the ideas of how to manipulate another person or another creature, awesome.
Right.
But the actual way it got built kind of fell short, and I don't know if this was like XCat's one of their first builds. I don't know if this was a rush build, or again, are we just missing a lot of context here? I don't know.
Right.
But I do know that I do have to give this a score.
For sure.
So unfortunately, I did not get. I do not need this or have any use for it in high points, so it's going to lose that one. And unfortunately, it did not give me any new ideas for a direction to go. Even the ideas that we've come up with in terms of like a manipulator, I have psionics. I don't need a rogue to be able to do that. Though, we should talk more about the pressure point monk.
Okay.
That I think that is a conversationist. Maybe we should do that. Oh, maybe that would be, write this note down. What if we do a stream, either a Friday or maybe a YouTube exclusive, a Discord exclusive for y'all? We do a day stream where we sit down and we build out that monk. We build out like a pressure point monk.
Okay.
Like do our own subclass build on stream.
Okay, yeah.
Because we haven't done one live. We haven't like built our own one, so we could kind of do this.
That's true.
We could
I know
build
we
one.
did talk about working through, because we still been talking a lot about bending.
And we got to do that. We could talk about that too. So we'll give that a try.
Pressure point monk, I like it.
Yeah, I really think that that's an idea that we should.
By the way. I don't know why.
Like Tylee from Avatar, yeah.
Yes. Because
I'm just thinking about it, right? Like we have this monk, right? And then imagine you use your key points to like, you imagine if you had this ability, right, as a monk to use these pressure points. Imagine the pressure points are just like how you do damage, right? It's just like a normal monk. That's just how you flavor the damage. But then you could get abilities like you can use a key point for 1 round. Like if you hit a pressure point in their arm is not usable for that round. So if they're holding a shield and you get them in the arm, they can't use their shield for 1 round.
Interesting.
They can't use their bow for 1 round.
They can't benefit from their shield for 1 round.
You know, you take someone's leg out, they have like half movement because their leg's like cramped up for 1 round. They have a DC, like a -2 on their AC because you numbed their foot. Like, I'm thinking this subclass could be all about crowd control, and it could even lean into that idea that we had a couple weeks ago about the standardizing non-lethal combat. Like making you know, final blows a choice. So imagine having a monk that's all about that. Like, you built this to where the subclass is default, and you even write it into the subclass as a default up at 3rd level by choosing this, you know, like subclass or whatever. I don't know if monks do it at 3rd level or 1st, but like have it written in that when you choose this subclass, all damage that you do is default non-lethal. So that is an actual thing about this class where no matter what, unless you say otherwise, you cannot take a life. So imagine that built into the character. You're just like, it's just, you take the subclass, that's it. You are non-lethal all the way. It's all about knocking them out. That would be, because we've never seen anything like that either. We've never seen a subclass make like a blanket default like that.
That's fair.
That's out of the norm. And I feel like that's where subclasses have the ability to do that. You know what I mean? Like a subclass should be able to have the ability to say, hey, if you're choosing this thing right here, this aspect, totally different than you've ever had before, right? You now have to say you want to take a life. I think that's just cool mentality, right?
Interesting.
So back to Veil Walker. So I don't need it. Doesn't really help me, inspire me in this particular respect for rogues. I do feel like it is slightly out of balance. I don't really feel like the flow from 1st to 20th level, I don't feel it's enticing enough, and I don't feel like there's enough motivation. I feel like it's hard to build a backstory around.
I feel like enticing is a better word than balance, because like, and
Yeah,
not
that's
necessarily.
true.
I don't necessarily feel like, oh, it's like super OP or necessarily super underpowered. Like, it doesn't have a lot of. I would say that it is lacking in a little bit.
I think the enticeness. You're right.
bite.
It's not unbalanced to play. It just doesn't hit any spots that I would feel like need filling. Like, I don't know what kind of party and what kind of campaign this would fit into, and I don't know what kind of player would see this build and go, I could lean into this, because again, with only one target and with so little manipulation you can do with them, I'm feeling like eventually you're just going to be shoehorned into, at the start of combat, everyone's going to expect you to just like focus on one person. Like, instead of being the tank, you're the debuff guy. You know what I mean? And yeah, I mean, that's it. It's just more like you're the debuff guy, and I feel like it just puts you in too much danger. Always being within 10 feet, especially being the rogue, it's a lot. You know what I mean? So I do feel like there's some things that could be changed. It definitely needs a lot of change for High Point, which that's just how it goes sometimes. Like I said, it's like the overall idea and what I think what I believe was the attempt is a really cool concept. I think the delivery and the path that was taken fell a little bit short, but has potential. I don't think this is a full rewrite. I don't think that this is something that should be scrapped. I think that there are just some decisions that need to be made, right?
Right.
Like borrowed time could be expanded. Stolen words, I think Stolen Words is the only thing that I would say needs not a full rewrite, but needs a reconsideration. Is this the ability you want to be the cornerstone? Because it's not just because it's the level 3 ability. It's just that this is basic, because borrowed time is, as written, it's not enough to be a cornerstone. You're not going to be able to use it enough to make that like what you're known for.
Right.
And Stolen Words, it's like literally what the subclass appears to be based around. So that's what I mean by is Stolen Words and what you're doing, is that what you want to do? Or is this meant to basically, I want to be able to control someone's senses? And if that's the case, I would say lean into some of our more other suggestions.
Okay.
If Stolen Words is really where you want to be at, I would probably rework it from the start and make it to where, like, being within 10 feet to start it is one thing. Being able to walk away with that voice for a time would be a different thing. And then waiting so long to just get any other benefits from it, I would rework that. I think that's the only one that really, if we're keeping it as is, Stolen Words just needs the biggest change, because that sets the tone. You know what I mean? The other abilities later down the road start to make more sense, but it doesn't make sense to me when you start with Stolen Words.
Or at the very least, like you were talking about earlier, add those intermediary areas where it enhances Stolen Words. If you want to start there, but like give it more as you go along, so it doesn't feel like you're waiting until the past halfway to 20 to actually get more than just what you started with.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And again, you're reaching around, you're reaching beyond the veil to do all this stuff. There's nothing that says that we have to, sit here as is, right? Like Stolen Words could just be like, what about just Stolen Aspect? And then as you level up, you can steal different things, right? Like, that's what I'm thinking, is like, it should be more than just the voice. The voice just is, I think that's where I'm stuck on, because again, ventriloquism and mimicry or actor, done. I have the same abilities. I don't need all this, so yeah. I would really like more information. I'd like more lore. I need to see.
I definitely agree with that.
I want to see the picture that XCat had in their mind, and I want to know how this plays into it.
Right.
Because again,
what's the vibe?
I don't understand how this plays into. We had no traversal. Like, we had no way of movement. It's just control over someone from the shadows. I mean, again, Veilwalker, it's almost like a puppeteer at this, not even, because you're not doing anything with them, right? It's like, yeah. All right, I don't know if this is going to be the lowest score. I don't think this is the lowest score that we've given.
I can tell you in a second.
It is unfortunate. But I have to be honest, it's not suitable for High Point. And again, it's not a score about how good it is. It is the High Points are based on its compatibility in High Point. So I always have to make sure that we reiterate that this is not a score of what we think its value is, because obviously value is subjective. This score is purely whether or not it is compatible with High Point, and in its current state, it is not. So I will have to drop this one to a 3 out of 10.
3 out of 10. Okay.
It's just, there's too much that I would have to change. Either I'd have to re-change the entire naming scheme, because the naming scheme throws me off, and names mean a lot of things for me.
Very much so.
So I would have to either rename everything, and then even just renaming it, it just, again, it doesn't flow right. I don't understand why. Like, I can't imagine, even beyond a player who would want to play it, because I don't really care. I don't need that, but I need at least a story that can be told, and I don't know what story can be told with this.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's
like we were talking about with classes. Like, where did you come from? How is this a part of who you are and what you are? Like,
yeah.
I do get that.
Exactly. So that's just where, when it comes to High Point, I'd have to either rename everything, or I would have to just go through, and again, almost every level would have to be changed in order for them to all work and lean into the High Point mechanics. So that's, again, I think it's a cool idea. I think that it could be reworked to get somewhere more tangible and more thought through, but yeah, it's just not going to work for High Point, unfortunately. So XCat, if you are watching this in the future, or if you're out there just lurking, hopefully that doesn't dissuade you from submitting in the future, or dissuade you from building in the future. Again, it is a compatibility issue, not necessarily a score on your capabilities. So I hope that is, clean. I hope that you enjoyed that review. I'm really liking this. I don't want to say I'm happy we finally got one that we scored low, but I'll be honest with y'all.
So it's not the lowest you've rated ever. It is the lowest viewer submitted that's been rated.
Let's see. Music turned off again. I'm just like, this is irritating. I'm gonna have to figure out what is going on with that music, y'all. If you guys know anything about why ChillHop is always muting itself, let me know, either in the Discord or in comments. But I will take a look at that soon.
For sure.
This is the first. Well, yesterday was the first stream I tried it out on while I was gaming, and it was doing the same. It was doing the same exact thing.
Yep.
So this is the second time we tried it for this live stream. I do kind of like it, because it's like, it's barely in my ear, because I have the speakers. It's like I barely kind of hear it. I don't know about you guys, how loud it is.
I just get the little vibrations every once in a while when I hear some bass, and I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah, and I kind of dig it, just because when there is silence, when we're looking something up, or when we're being more just chatty, it is kind of nice to have something in the background. So we might keep it, we might not. It's part of one of the polls that are in the Discord. So yeah, just let us know what's going on there. What's going on, Cosmic? Nice to see you. Hecate says that they've submitted something. Nicely done. All right. So yeah, that'll be another. We'll add that to the next to one of the Monday lists. We got to have more. I mean, I know that we have a ton of stuff still from Pokeniner, and we do have a handful of things from other people. But if you want to get in on the list, you just got to submit it for us in the Discord. So if you guys want to do that, if you want to submit homebrew for us to review on Mondays, or if you want to submit topics for us to talk about on Fridays, or if you just want to chat with us, you can do that via the Discord. I'm going to post that link in the chat. Also, yes, for anybody who did not catch the beginning of this video, if you did want to see how we started out our conversation about the Veil Walker, or if you want to see any of our prior live streams, you can catch that on YouTube. We do have a VODs channel. I can post that link in the chat as well. And yeah, go check us out there. Like, subscribe. We are opening up a new channel here soon, so it is linked to this one. So if you go to Misfit Gamer Studios Live, Misfit Gamer Studios YouTube channel is linked there. We don't have any videos on that one just yet. I'm just prepping it for, since I'm going to be starting the video editing this month, I'm prepping that for my first couple shorts. So keep an eye out. I will obviously do a update in the Discord once we have all of that updated. But yes, by the end of this month, I'm hoping to have at least 1 or 2 shorts posted, and I will continue to learn video editing. So all the edited videos will go to the Misfit Gamer Studios YouTube page, and all of the VODs will stay on the Misfit Gamer Studios live page. So not too bad there. Other than that, yeah, just keep us posted on those homebrews, and we will keep you posted on new topics. But yeah, no, thank you so much for XCat. That was great. I think that's going to be it for us tonight. Let's see what's going on. We'll update the next few weeks' lists. Okay, yeah, so we are only doing just the next week's. We're not going to be doing anything too far into the future from that. It just makes it a little bit easier if we do have to make changes to the schedule. We don't have to adjust anything major, and then we don't have to have you guys adjust your guys' schedule either, right? Like if you guys know, in 2 weeks from now it's mine, and we had to change it for some reason, we don't want you guys to be put out. So right now it's a little bit easier if we just let you know what the last one was and what the one coming up is, and then that way any changes that happen in the background can be more seamless for you guys, and it just makes it a little bit easier for us to manage new content coming in, because we do have just all of that backup. So so hopefully, if you guys do have suggestions, there is the suggestion channel in the Discord. So if you guys do have honest suggestions like that for how we can change those up, or preferences, let us know there. We will always look at those and always make those into consideration. If it works for the brand and the stream, we'll absolutely consider implementing any suggestions that you guys have. Other than that, do we know what next week's item is?
I did check earlier, and it will be Cosmic's Umbral Ember's Descent.
Fantastic. That is the Warbow, right?
That's the Warbow.
Right.
Again, he was talking about there are no Warbows in 5th edition.
It's not an
now.
official war. Yeah,
Exactly.
Well, I don't even know. Well, I'll look at that before next week. I'll see if the history of Warbow. Not like do an episode. I just want to see, is there a history of bows in D&D and where that would have done. Is that a weapon? Yes, it is a weapon. It is a Warbow. That Cosmic
like
Purge.
A longbow, but like different,
Yeah, we're really interested. There's some visuals that Cosmic provided as well to kind of to give you guys an idea of what it looks like. So we'll show off that as well. So that'll be next Monday, and then this Friday. Let's see. Do we have a topic ready for this Friday, or am I gonna do? We got
some stuff in the barrel. I feel like. A little bit.
Been talking about so much stuff. Well, we do have the repurposing subclasses. I don't know if we'll do that this quickly.
I want to get some time on that. I feel that.
Let's see. What else do we have here? Spellcasters losing their powers would be an interesting one.
Oh, yeah. Like, what happens if you're a cleric that loses favor, or a paladin? Or
right. We want to talk about like the history of how that's actually worked throughout it. Did we actually ever talk? Did we ever actually do the conversation about the meta text? I thought we did. We didn't talk about meta text. That's only because it's not going to be a full topic. That's going to be one of those like lightning round topics.
We were trying to do it, but it was towards the end of the topic, and we didn't want it to get too meaty on that one.
Right.
We might want to start with that one if we're going to do that.
That's true. Okay, we have a couple topics. I will have to dig into these, figure out what works for what I can put onto the schedule, like what I can actually research this week, and pull out, not a script, but pull out something that we can talk about. But yeah, keep us. I'll try to keep you guys posted. If I come up with anything by like Thursday, I'll post it in the Discord. But sometimes Thursday is the day that I work on these, and then I fine tune them right before stream. So bear with us. But we will have a deeper discussion for you on Friday. We'll have something fun. Everybody done about doing 2 home brews a week, because it's always great listening. Just a thought. I do appreciate that. Thank you so much. We have right now, it is purely based on our IRL schedules. So our work schedules and personal lives. We are very, very just lucky and blessed that this last year has worked out so well for our schedules. Monday, Fridays. I remember it was very rocky at first because we tried to do Thursdays and that wasn't working. I've even had to change my personal work schedule to make this work even better, right? So we've had to do some things. We want to expand. We absolutely do. I would love to get to a point to where I'm doing at least a once a month exclusive stream for you guys, like through the Discord, kind of like how some people do through Patreon, but eventually we want to just do like a once a month stream through Discord. We want to do other Discord exclusives that will be recorded and become like YouTube exclusives. These are where we want to start talking about, or at least thinking about doing, recordings with you guys, having you guys on, in an environment a little bit more controlled, something that we can kind of, safely control and edit if need be. But, the idea is that we still do like the idea of getting you guys on and talking to you guys and getting more insights, except for just what we read on chat and what you guys submit. So yeah, we are thinking of expanding to at least, 1 or 2 once a month episodes. And then beyond that, it really is going to come down to the success of things. Like, we are not anywhere near looking to stop. If we continue with just 49 followers for the next year, we'll still be doing this for the next year as long as our schedules allow it. But of course, the mindset is that we are prepared to put in more effort when the time is there. Like, we both understand that this is never intended, nor is it expected to ever replace our regular jobs. If that happened, obviously everything's out the window. And if this could pay me that much money, believe me, I would be live every single day. I would be reading every homebrew every single day. Trust me, I would do nothing but that. But until this becomes actually popular, until we actually get some sort of stability, real life comes first. And honestly, I'd much rather produce content that I really like and be consistent than try to overload us with content that we're not happy with but is successful, especially at our stage right now. So yeah, we want to do more. It's mainly just schedule and priorities. So yes, thank you so much. It means a lot that you guys are asking for more content. Like you have no idea that means a lot that you guys want more content. It actually gives me a lot more confidence, and it gives me more motivation to get into the video editing, because that way we can edit down these VODs actually into real episodes. We can take out a lot of the tangents, so it's just the reviews. Those tangents can be then put into their own videos. So content will be a lot more available over time if you guys miss stuff. We're hoping to get that out on YouTube. So yes, thank you. That's a big motivator, Hecate. I appreciate that. Big Dungeon says they've just started to make their own magic items, so they want to see a few things. See that. Well, hey, Dungeon, if you ever want our feedback, we will absolutely give it to you. Cosmic, glad you're excited. Yes, it is going to be a long week, but hopefully not terribly long. Hey, at least we have a holiday this week for those in America.
We do.
We have a holiday for anybody in America, so we have the 4th of July coming up. So hopefully you guys will have some fun there. I have the day off. Who knows? Maybe I'll do a 4th of July stream. I have no idea what I would do. I might go back I want to get back into playing games on the weekend. I did kind of take a couple weeks off because Hitman pissed me off. Oh, fuck that game. I hate that game. But no, I'm getting back into gaming, and that's why I streamed yesterday. I just, it's a different vibe, like I like this. I like having you to talk to. I like having you guys to talk to. It's easier when I'm just chatting. It's for some reason it's easier for me to just talk and chat, especially about any general topic. But gaming, I feel like I always struggle with getting too lost in the game. Yeah, I forget. But other than that, I just feel like
I really don't.
I just don't have commentary. You know what I mean? I'm not good at commentary. I'm great at conceptualizing ideas. I'm great at theorizing and talking about stuff. But when I'm playing a game, if it's not a game that I can talk about what my thought process is, I just have no good commentary. I'm not a reactive person. Like, I would be terrible. I am probably one of the worst people who should ever stream like horror games, because or those like meme games, like I forget what the one that's out now that everybody's like all over, but it's like the games where you have to go somewhere, do something, and then come back out with stuff and not die.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like these are kind of like the meme games out right now, but I go into them and it's not like I take them super seriously. It's just that the things happen and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. Like, I don't do the thing where I run around and scream and I'm like, oh my god, it's gonna touch me, it's gonna hurt. Like, I will run in game and I'll be like, don't touch, like, don't get me. But I don't have that like outward expression.
Yeah.
When I game, so it's like
exactly what you mean.
I want to get into game not for content, like you guys know. I'm not interested in becoming a gaming streamer, but I do love just the idea of playing games and talking to y'all and just like chit chatting about regular life and not D&D and just kind of seeing a different side of me. But at the same time, if I'm going to do that, it also has to be entertaining, right? Like,
yeah.
And that's what I'm working on. So watch. I do want to work more on that, and I will continue to stream on the weekends. but it will mainly just be for chill hangouts when people just want to come and just see non-D&D
Just chill.
Vortex, just hanging out, doing stuff.
Hanging out.
Let's see. Hecate, it sounds great. Keep doing the best videos because myself and a group of my friends and some family love to watch your reviews and VODs. You have that? What? You have friends and family watching us? What?
Yo, that's fire.
Making me all embarrassed now.
That's
Jeez,
fire, dude.
that's
like
dope. Hecate, thank you.
No, I'm down for that.
That is so dope. I wonder if that's where the increase is, because the YouTube channel just hit officially. It took a year, but we officially got 500 views total.
Nice.
But I have been noticing a little bit of an increase in our impressions. Like, we are getting seen on YouTube somehow.
Okay.
The VOD channel
Interesting.
isn't completely dead.
That's crazy.
It's nowhere near in the world, because we have over 100, I have 150, 200 videos and 500 views total. So, we're talking not even a view, 2 views a video
it's
here.
It's small, but it's there.
But no, that's fucking cool. That's so dope. I am so glad that we are. Again, I don't even care if we're background. Like, I am totally down to be people's background, but if people are enjoying
it's a vibe, man. It's definitely a vibe.
That gives me way more confidence. Okay.
Especially when you can interact and like people are like, oh yeah, like you see, it's good. It's good.
I'm even more okay. I have got to get to video editing. Like that is just making me like really think about wanting to get into that now, because I will be honest, I've been having a lot of motivational issues with that. It's not that it's not that I'm afraid of failure. It's that I don't want it to be like the podcast was. I don't want to put in the hours and hours and hours of work to be so unsatisfied with the final product that I want to walk away. Because that's what happened with the podcast. The podcast had nothing writing on it, and we stopped gaming after a while. So I had very little motivators to get the podcast out. You know what I mean? With this, I have all the motivation to continue streaming, but converting this into...
Especially because that's a lot of work and time out of your schedule.
That's my thing, my biggest fear has not been failure and not producing good quality stuff, because I know I'm not going to do that for a while. Like, it's going to take me a long time to get good, or until I get editors. But I just did not want to invest the time into something that I wasn't going to feel good about. But this is going to make me feel better. Like, knowing that again, it's just, we've already, getting to this point over a year, I know has been, it's been a ride. And I know that there are some, there are some streamers who, get off, running after a couple months. There are some that take, that are still streaming after 10 years and don't have anybody, right? I know that it's all a game, it's time and place, but thank you, Hecate. I just want to say thank you. Those words of yours are giving me a lot more motivation to push through and do more. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Today is Canada Day. Oh, well, happy Canada Day, Cosmic. Thank you.
Awesome.
Oh, I didn't know Canada Day was today. I didn't know it was in July. I don't know why I would know that. I don't know the holidays in most other places, but that's kind of cool. Awesome. Fair. Well, happy Canada Day, Cosmic. I have 3 kids' birthday parties, my husband's birthday, and a holiday in these 2 weeks. Oh, jeez.
My goodness.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Talking to yourself while staying entertaining depends on the person can be a contradiction. To be honest, that is one of the hardest things for most streamers right out the gate. Is it's either content or motivation in terms of like when they first start streaming. I know one of the biggest questions that people ask is like, how do you stream to 0 viewers? And a lot of it's either confidence in just talking to yourself, or it's just the idea of content, like not knowing at all what to say or what to do. And it's so funny because you see a lot of different like responses to that idea, but the most common one you get is like, you just have to, like, you just you're going to be by yourself, you know what I mean? So, there's no way to get over the anxiety or the weirdness of that. I think for me, what I did was, because I watched a lot of streamers and I watch a lot of their like YouTube content. I think for me, the easiest thing to do is really just act like there was an audience. Like, basically kind of have a conversation in my head and just talk one-sided about it. So just kind of just imagining that I had an audience like wondering what's going on, asking like, hey, what's your next tactic? What are you doing? Like, you can't get the commentary, like the social commentary, without questions from chat. But whenever I was like starting out the game streaming, it was really just like, I know I shouldn't be silent, so assume chat wants to know like what my plan is in game.
Facts.
And that's kind of where I started. And then with D&D discussions, I think where I started with D&D discussions, I remember now that I've watched those episodes again, it's so funny. It's so funny.
That's cool.
Rewatching the episodes, I'm on episode like 15 now. Rewatching the episodes, I am watching not just the shift in like our ability to be hosts and what we do, but I'm physically, it's so strange to physically be able to watch the shift in me, in my approach to this stream, because I can almost see, if you watch my first couple episodes, you can almost physically tell that I'm not talking to an audience. I'm talking for a video. Like my first couple of videos were so much more
interesting
YouTube video, not Twitch stream.
Interesting.
And even when we started, like a lot of our conversations were much more, we're talking as being recorded, not we're talking to an audience. And it is funny because you start to see a shift when we start to get an audience and we start to have more of those interactions.
Start interacting with people and like understanding what that interaction feels like.
And when we're doing these monologues, there's a difference in how we're, I don't know, it's weird. It's the body language, it's the way that we speak, but yeah, you could watch us shift from talking to ourselves to talking to the chat. People. And it's really cool to see that. And yeah, I just that's how I did it. Is I originally started the streaming, not games, but with the D&D discussions. That's how I did intend it to. Like I started knowing I didn't have an audience, so I started with the mindset of, well, imagine I'm doing this to record it to edit it later. And then that eventually turned into, well, we have an audience, so let's lean into that. And now you have what we have today.
Dope.
Cosmic has most of our views rewatching his older reviews. Hey, that's fine. That's what they're there for. It's for everybody to check back on. Big Dungeon, always like us in the background. Hey, that's I'm happy with that. Lurks are great. Desmar Sama, I exist here now. Cower at your leisure, or don't. I'm not your boss. How's it going? Well, welcome. Thank you so much.
Welcome to the stream.
Kage?
Yes?
Guess what that was?
What was that?
That's a new chatter.
That is a new chatter.
That means we are so close. If we could get a follow out of a new chatter, do you know what that means?
That means
we'd be so close.
We are right there on the cusp,
so close.
Man. I know it. It's
how do we
real.
How do we do that? How do we get a follower? How do you convert first time chatter into
you be real, all right, and you be the real that you want to see in the world, right? And it
has nothing to do with that to become an affiliate.
If you be it, they will come, right? Isn't that how that works?
Right.
Oh, that's great.
Oh, and another one from Canada too. Sama's from Canada.
Very cool. Very
nice.
Cool.
All right.
Welcome.
So nice. Well, happy Canada Day to all the Canadians out there. Let's see. Hecate, of course, y'all do amazing work. Thank you so much for that. The reason why so many of us watch is because how deep y'all go into homebrew lore. And lower aspect, because believe it or not, most just check if it's balanced or broken, and it's always a great time with us. Thank you so much. I'm happy. Actually, no, like not just am I flattered and humbled by what you've just said. Thank you so much. But what you just said there, that was actually something I was really hoping for with D&D discussions. What Hecate just ended there with, saying that most just check for balance and broken. And to be completely honest, at least in the content creators that I follow, even the ones I love, I always do feel that way. I always feel that it's either balance versus broken, or, balance and broken, or it's how overpowered can I get, right? And these are like the content creators that do a lot of the scripted like skits and stuff. They always talk about like, how do I overpower something, or how do I get a loophole or break something, or they talk about what's the balancing and does it work mechanically?
Right.
And as great as that all is, like if you want that, it's out there, right? But I didn't want to be another one of those just by the books mechanic people, which is why, our slogan, our motto, Beyond the Book, started so early on, because we wanted to talk about, raw without lore, like why lore matters and the backgrounds of things, and helping people come to those conclusions by the story that they're telling and not just what they can do with it. So that was a big goal for Misfit Gamer Studios and for D&D discussions. It was something that I noticed, but I'm only one perspective and I don't know all of the D&D content creators. So it was, didn't want to come out here thinking that we were going to do like the only the person doing this. But hearing it from chat, that means a lot. Like you guys have no idea. Like that. It does mean a lot that you're coming to the same conclusion that we did and why we wanted to start
that we were
discussions.
hoping for sure.
So that's awesome. Sama, I'm gonna make you earn it, not just giving out those follows. Hey, you know what? That is totally fine. I totally understand that. I do not follow. Even on YouTube, I will straight up, because I love my YouTube like algorithm. It will curate. Like sometimes it gets rid of things I don't want it to get rid of and I'll have to go find them. But I do love when it suggests me new things. And I swear I will watch a content creator for like 9 straight months. And I'm talking about religiously. I will every day check their shorts page. I will see if they have a new video, like if they post every week, I will watch their new video for months and not subscribe. Not because it's not even because like I have some like master plan of what I can subscribe to. It's just that I don't know. I have this weird like imaginary threshold. You want to be sure that
the content you're going to be shown on a regular basis is the content, because it's not just them you're subscribing to. It's anybody that relates to them.
Exactly,
all that
right.
Stuff's going to start coming at you.
I want to see what it's going to do overall to my algorithm before I tell my algorithm 100% give me more, right? So I totally understand. Yeah, follow should not be idly given, because you never want your algorithm to be
my lady has
overdone.
Destroyed my algorithm. Like I've just fully given up. Like,
all right, there's a reason. Okay, honestly, part of the reason is I wanted to be nice and not have her have to watch ads, but there's also another reason why I gave her the alternate login account.
I'm just saying. Whatever's fine. Whatever's fine. I don't really care about it that much anyways.
Let's see. Sama, you are currently brewing a subclass. Balance is a thing to consider for sure, but I prefer desirability. 100% yes.
That's a big thing that we were talking about today.
Exactly.
We had balance today, but not necessarily that.
Yeah, like what is the player gonna get out of it for playing it, right? Not just what they can do with it, but what are they gonna get out of playing it? What experience is it? So absolutely fantastic. Are people gonna want to play the idea? Am I making something that they can get from the official? And that's the other thing too, right? Is it just a replacement for something you can already do? Like I was talking about earlier, I could take this subclass Veilwalker, or I could just take Ventriloquism and Actor. And then boom, I have the same abilities, right? So 100% being able to do all of that as well. That's Sama, you are 100% correct. I do hope that you return, Sama. So every Monday, if I haven't already said it, every Monday we do homebrew review. So we take a viewer submitted item, each subclass, weapon, whatever it may be. And like we said, we do what we did today. We talk about it. We look at balancing. We not just look at balancing. We look at the lore. We talk about it from both our DM point of view, like how we would, utilize it as a DM, how we would be it as a player. What parts interest us, what parts worry us. Again, you heard a lot of that today. And then of course, I end it with a high point, a number out of 10. And again, that's not so much a rating on how good it is a compatibility rating on how best it would fit in my personal setting of high point. And since you're new, you don't have a lot of context of that, but I'm a DM that primarily bases my foundations in 2nd edition. I do utilize all of the editions. I don't necessarily look at them as exclusive. I just look at them as things that built upon each other, and that just made the game more expansive. So my primarily foundations are in 2nd edition, which is why you'll hear us a lot. You'll hear Kage a lot of the time have to remind me what a 5th edition ruling is, or even tell me some basics about 5th edition. You'll hear him remind me a lot about like what sounds like things I should know, and that's mainly because the memorization I have is 2nd edition with bits and pieces of everything.
There's so much that I play in Vortex's realm, and there's so much about 2nd edition that I forget. Like I constantly forget how THAC0 works, like constantly, But it just is what it is, and so we help keep each other, on that right direction.
But yeah, and so with that, that's why I give it the rating as in a, and the rating is basically, always starts at 10 and then I just take points away, right? So the first point I usually take away is whether or not I need it or want it in high point, right? Like if it just doesn't do anything for me or has no purpose to fill, that's 1 point off. If it doesn't inspire me to make a change or to do something in high point, that's another point. And then after that, there's just other aspects, whether or not I even like it, like in terms of like, is it usable, balancing options, is it a reskin, is it useless? There's just a couple like ideas of things that'll take points off based on it. And then we give it that. We have a leaderboard. You can check out the leaderboard in the Discord. I don't know if you got that link, but I can repost that link in the chat if you're interested. Oh, looks like someone already did as well. But yeah, we have a leaderboard. You can check out everything that we've ever done. All of the links are in there. So it has links to the videos of those reviews. It has links to the PDF copies if you want to read through them.
Yes.
So the leaderboard's actually really cool. It has all of them. You can check out people's averages. You can check out, who submitted what. You can see basically just all of the information on them. So it's really slick. It's really cool. We're building it as we go, but it is kind of nice. How many items do we have total on the list now?
We just finished reviewing item 62, but our submissions go up to 76, and I have 2 more to add to that list. So
you hear that?
We'll have a couple more.
We are plugging through those. So yeah, so that is Mondays, and then on Fridays we do our episode. Right now we're calling it Deeper Discussions, but we have some polls in the Discord right now in a specified channel for some naming changes. But Fridays we basically do like deep dives. It's either going to be like a history of, or we'll take like we've done like history of ritual casting. We've done the history of the spell Simulacrum. So we'll do history deep dives where we go through each edition, how something's changed, what we like, what we dislike about it, and then other times we'll just like last week we did kind of like a variety topic where we just had a bunch of topics we just openly discussed. So yeah, that's Fridays. Mondays are review, and then we are like I said mentioned earlier, we are looking to do some like YouTube exclusive stuff once I get better at editing, some Discord exclusive stuff just for followers, and all of that kind of good stuff. So hopefully that's a good little cap on a recap of what Misfit Gamer Studios is all about. We got so much going on in chat right now.
We blowing it.
The current brew. Okay, so Sama has a barbarian subclass with half pact casting. That's going to be interesting.
Pact casting.
Yeah, that's
I'm very interesting.
I'm really curious how. Well, and what's really interesting because a barbarian being able to cast, which means that you're going to be a very immediately what it tells me is you're going to be a very versatile fighter because you're going to be either casting magic or raging, unless this subclass allows you to do both. But typically you can't cast magic when you're raging, which is why you don't see a lot of barbarian multiclasses.
Very much so, yeah.
But if this is already a built-in spell-casting barbarian, that would be really interesting to be a spellcaster, but then go into rage to be more of a melee fighter. Man, that would be really... Oh my god, there's
You're also technically not allowed to concentrate on a spell while you're raging either.
That's what I'm saying.
So if you cast it beforehand and then go into a rage, it's gone.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, can you imagine that makes me want to build a unique spellcasting cast where you basically take a class's features and make them spells. Can you imagine a spell called Rage, where if you cast that while the a spellcaster is spell raging, all their spells are automatically upcast by 1.
That would be just imagine a raging spell.
That's what I'm saying. I'm just that could be kind of dope. That could be kind of dope. Okay, so yeah, so I'm really curious about this half pack caster. Something that I couldn't just get from and I really like the idea that someone mentions that this is not something that you can get from multi-classing. So already thinking through, I make this? I already like that. So good on you, Sama, for doing that. We definitely want to see that.
I want to see that so bad now. I really hope you join our Discord just so I can see that. I love our homebrews. They are beautiful.
Someone says he can break that list. They've got 25 subclasses, 10 races, 6 backgrounds, 4 feats, and they are working on spells. Bro, you are going to give Pokeniner a run for their money because Pokeniner gave us a compendium. Pokeniner gave us a book, literally a book.
That was Pokeniner's. That was just their subclasses,
and that was just a book of subclasses.
Now,
so yes.
I will say Cosmic still does have the most submissions so far.
But he also has longevity. So Cosmic's been with us for over a year.
He's been doing that for a while.
What was it? What was it? Episode 6, I think, was Cosmic's first episode.
Was it?
I think so. Okay. I have a note of it somewhere. But yeah, Cosmic's been with us for well over a year. No, Babakiss was episode 6. That was the first person we had. Babakiss first. I think Cosmic came in around 8 or 9.
The first homebrew submission.
Yeah. The first homebrew submission was Cosmic way long ago.
Okay.
In one of the first ones. But yeah, absolutely. I would. Oh yeah, you had 3 items in one video. Yeah, that was back when I was doing multiple.
Oh, that's
that was
when
back
you were
before we
doing it
had
before
homebrew
me.
review. Yeah, that was back before homebrew review when I
That's
was
right.
just doing it because I had no other content, and then we were like, hey, this is cool. Let's build a whole community around like discuss because
Like doing this stuff.
we know we wanted to do something with that, but we weren't really sure what direction to take it. So yeah, it kind of just evolved into that. It also really helped to split up the 2 days. That was also really necessary.
Yeah.
Sid, Knowledge Armor, and Cosminium Jewel. I believe it was Sid. Was it the Knowledge Armor? That was the. I thought it was the robe. I thought it was
Robe
Sid,
of
the
accumulative
robe.
knowledge.
Yes,
I think that's what he means by armor.
Oh, okay, yeah. The robe of accumulative knowledge, Sid, and then Cosminium Jewel was the 3 that I did that one time. But it was back then that kind of got me to realize that only doing one in a day, like one in a session, is really good. Because I mean, we average 2
Especially
hours.
when both of you and I are there, like
absolutely.
going through each piece of it.
I mean, when we can get at least 2 hours typically in on a review, I mean, trying to do anything more than that, especially on a Monday for us, is just, like I said, it's all about schedule. If we had the opportunities, we would. I mean, keep in mind, I had to change my work schedule around just to make Mondays work better because I used to have, I don't know if you guys remember, Cosmic, you probably remember this last year. I had, not like a hard cutoff, but like we would have been over by now.
Oh yeah.
Like we would have had to have
easy.
cut off because it was way too, like 3-hour streams on Mondays weren't a thing unless I really was hating myself that week.
Unless you're willing to suffer.
Yeah, so that was kind of just had to change my schedule around in order to accomplish this, and now we can basically go as late as we want on Mondays, which is nice. But yeah, once either schedules get better or this just becomes a lot more. I don't want to say important because it is important, but once this becomes a lot more a part of our
Demanding.
day-to-day,
Yeah.
I will definitely put a lot more time into. But again, don't want to get burnt out while we're still building, and we don't want to build beyond our means, right? We don't want to do ideas and take too many shots in the dark because we're already doing that with 2 different episodes a week on 2 different topics. I wouldn't want to force ourselves to put out content that ends up just not being what y'all want. I would much rather grow slow and with the community and understand, which is exactly why we put the polls out, right? We have the naming structures that we want to go forward with. The polls are there to help us make sure that we are on the same lines with the community in terms of like what we all like and what we all see. And again, we want to just get an idea of if we're going to make a decision, how in line is that with the community, right? Like, is the community down with those ideas? Because we didn't want to make it just a yes, no, right? Because if we just say, hey, here's a new idea, your yes could just mean, well, it's better than the last idea. But a poll was kind of nice because it's like, hey, here's a few things that we think are good. We want to make sure that we understand our community and understand the direction that we all want to go. So, Cosmic, am I the reason you didn't give up streaming? I was never going to give up streaming. I don't think I was ever going to give up streaming
Yeah,
at anything. It was really just, the early days were really just finding my schedule. Because I think at first I was trying, I want to say I was like trying either Sundays or Mondays and Thursdays. And then I think I switched to Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then I went back to Mondays and Thursdays. And then we eventually switched to Fridays, like Mondays and Fridays because of your schedule.
Right.
And then eventually Mondays were hurting me, and then I eventually changed my work schedule to make Mondays accomplished. So, yeah, there wasn't really ever a time that I considered stopping. It was always just trying to figure out what direction or what was going to be the best for my schedule, especially because when I first started out, I didn't know if I was going to do special guests. Like, I remember the first couple episodes that Kage was on, he was just a special guest.
Yeah.
I'm
still a special guest in the Discord, you know?
No, you should be host and mod.
Oh, yes, I am.
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought I was...
But yeah, it's like, because, originally it's like I had very little major plans for D&D discussions. I knew that I wanted to stream. I knew I wanted to talk about D&D because it was the one thing that even if I'm having a bad day, a bad week, if I'm just tired, it's the one thing that no matter what I can talk about. Even if I don't want to, it's the one thing that I don't ever not have something to say. So I knew that I wanted to do all of that. The first couple months were really just figuring out my schedule and how I could do it consistently. Because I knew that if I wanted to start streaming again, I had to be consistent. And with my schedule, I'm never good at being consistent. This is probably This is probably helping me grow as a person a lot, because this is probably one of the most consistent, outside of my job, this is probably one of the most consistent things I do in my life. And before this, I did not have something that was this readily consistent. So it's been really helping me just grow and understand myself a little bit better. But yeah, other than that, there was a lot of rockiness trying to figure out how to, best schedule ourselves around, what I wanted to do, what type of topics I wanted to talk about. I was, I didn't know if I wanted to make this all about High Point. Because I still haven't talked a lot about High Point. I mean, I did the 5-part series about the origins of High Point and everything. But the problem is, like, I'm a second edition player, right? And nobody cares about second edition anymore. Like, it's cool, it's unique, but I didn't want to base it around just talking about High Point, because it's an outdated edition.
Yes.
And I didn't want to we don't play enough, so I couldn't play to really represent High Point if I was just going to talk about it, right? So that's really where Beyond the Book really came from, is instead of just talking about how my realm works, and instead of just doing the standard, hey, let's just talk about what the book says, I wanted to find, like, what is it that makes High Point so unique? And really, it's the way you and I go about figuring out how mechanically things are justified, how they work, how they develop in the lore, and when the book
and attitude.
Yeah, and when the book needs to be, reevaluated, right? When the rule sets don't make sense, or when they could make better sense.
They don't flow, or they're not as synergistic as they could be, for sure.
And that's really where I think it came down to, is once I realized that that's kind of the direction I wanted to take D&D discussions, after that decision and the decision for scheduling, it was really managing content, right?
Right.
We've always known that this was going to be a tangent-based live stream. Like, as funny as it is, I do consider it our strong suit. It is one of the things that I think makes us unique out there, because we don't typically, stay on topic. We don't have a script. Part of the reason is that's just because of the way that our minds work. A little bit of ADHD,
right,
is just, it's enough to make the mind want to wander. But at the same time, we've both learned that a lot of our creativeness, especially in D&D, that's how we play, right? We have always talked about us being dynamic players, or DMs, right? We're very much feeding in the moment about what the players are doing, and that's kind of what the live stream's all about, right? We want to take those moments in. This is why I don't review your guys' submissions until day of. This is why Kage takes care of all of that, because if I review it, I'm going to have all of these unique, crazy ideas that you guys hear on stream. But when I'm done, I'm going to have to re-review all of those notes, cherry pick out what I think are the best ones. And even if I still talked about all of those ideas I had, I would not be able to talk about them as in depth, because it's one thing to be able to talk in the moment about an idea that I'm having and really flesh it out. It's another to have that idea and know it's not going to go anywhere, but then have to come back to it, right? Like making a comment on someone's, homebrew days before I do it, and then come back onto stream. I'm not going to have the same enthusiasm. I'm not going to have the same thought process.
Yes,
I'm not going to have the same words. So I'm going to be trying to reiterate an idea instead of giving an idea. And that's what I don't do well with. That's why I don't do scripts. That's why I wanted this as our option, right? I kind of just thought this would be a really cool way for us to let our ADHD just kind of have an outlet, because sometimes, we just can't have that in our regular life. But it's also, I think, where a lot of our best, there are some things about D&D that you need research for, like the history of ideas and all of that. We want to do research, but sometimes, like things like balancing, sometimes balancing is in the moment thing,
it's
right?
It's a gut feeling. It's an instinct. Yeah.
Sometimes it's about the situation, and maybe, again, I could come up with a million different situations, but it's going to be different if I thought through something for an hour, bring it on to stream, and then Kage has a different idea, and I'm not prepared to talk about that because I spent an hour detailing out my one idea, right?
Right.
So yeah, the tangents are absolutely intentional and always have been. It was kind of a strong suit of mine in terms of that's where I find a lot of my creativity to be at its highest, and that's really what I wanted. I wanted a outlet for myself and for my creativity. So that's where D&D discussions essentially started for me, was basically a way to just openly talk about stuff. And then, yeah, managing that content was a little bit difficult because by myself, I don't do as well without a soundboard. So
No, I feel
that's where
I'm
that's
very
where
much the
Kage
same
coming
way.
a co-host really mattered. Is the soundboard was just so phenomenal. For me, it takes a couple seconds. He talks. I get a couple seconds to catch up. We go off of the same ideas. We have the same. We think differently, but we have the same trains of thought, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
We're on different tracks, but the trains are heading in the same direction.
Yes, and I very much appreciate that, because there are so many times where my train will be like on a track and it'll be going down a track, and there'll be aspect that I don't see, or that I don't recognize, or that I don't like connect the two pieces. And Vortex is again going the same direction. We have the same goal ultimately in mind, but he's got a different perspective, and he brings that to the table, and it's infinitely valuable. So
Right.
It grows me as a DM, as a player, just as in my mindset in general. So it's super valuable. I'm here for it.
And it's great that we challenge each other. We both have a completely different approach to D&D. Fundamentally, it's the same, but mechanically speaking, our approaches are different. But it's also great because we challenge each other in all the right ways. Instead of trying to outdo each other or prove to each other that one person does it best, we challenge each other to make sure, can you make yours make sense? Instead of saying, prove to me yours is better, it's just prove to me yours makes sense to you and to your gaming session, right? And that's all that we try to do. As long as like Kage's had plenty of problems with my calls as a DM. But it's not so much whether he thinks my call was the correct call. He's never like, well, that's wrong. It's more of a, explain why that works in your realm. Once I do, he goes, okay, I don't like it, but I accept that's how it is. And
very much
that's
so.
what it is, right? It's a challenge of, I just want to make sure that this isn't an empty call. I want to understand why it's being used this way so I can use it again, or I can see the repetition of it. I can see how it's going to affect things in the future, whether or not he agrees with it. Same thing. I don't necessarily agree with all the calls that he does, but as long as I know where that call is coming from, as long as I know where and the why, I'm happy with it. It's like, hey, that works and if it works for him, that's all I'm here for. I'm not going to tell him he should do it a different way unless he came to me and said, hey, I have this idea, but I don't know if it works. Then that's my cue to be like, hey, you want some advice, or here's some suggestions. Here's what I would do. That's what Homebrew Review is all about.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, it's like, I'm not right. You know what I mean? Like, playing second edition isn't the best thing to do. Playing fifth edition isn't the best thing to do. Playing all of the editions isn't the best thing to do. We're not here to tell people what they should be doing. Like, the whole point of D&D discussions was not to come out here and be like, hey, I've been playing for 10 years. I know what to do. You all should follow my lead.
Do things this way. Yeah.
The whole point of D&D discussions was to come out here and be like, hey, for those of you who just don't want to own every book, for those of you who don't want to follow every rule to the T, for those of you who want to build your own world and maybe make a couple different calls, we wanted to be there to say, hey, we agree with you. We believe in that, and we want to show you ways in which you can do it. Not how to do it, but how you could do it. And whether or not you take our ideas and use them, that's awesome. Whether or not you find a new idea off of what we said, awesome. Even if what we say makes what you decided originally more concrete. We could say all the things in the world, and you could be like, you know what? After hearing you, I now know for sure I was right in the first place. And I don't even better.
Yeah.
Our job was our goal is not to give you ideas to take. Our goal is to get you where you need to go. Get you to a point to where you're comfortable with your creations.
Yes.
And you're comfortable as DMs, as players in a variety of different worlds. And we want to be an outlet for people who
want to find that picture of who you are.
Yeah. If you don't believe that you have to always follow the book exactly to a T, then you're welcome here. That's what we're here to not promote. It's not about homebrewing everything. We're not here to tell you that everything in the book needs to have its own unique spin. We're here just to promote the idea that it can. And if you want it go that way, we're here to help you be confident in those decisions and help you find your way to get there by showing you how we got there.
100%.
That's all that D&D Discussions is all about. That's what we're all about. And yeah, hopefully that kind of gives you guys, haven't done one of those like little synopses in a while. I should think about doing that every couple months or every couple streams, just kind of doing like a quick, vibe check for all of the newbies. But yeah, that's what D&D Discussions is all about. That's what we're all about here at MisfitGamersStudios, is just, we want to foster communication. That's why we built the Discord. The Discord, we're not amazing and great. Oh my God, we got it.
Is that it?
We got it. We earned it.
Go.
Yeah,
Let's
we
go.
earned. And look at that, follower goal met. Kage, I think I
Let's-
owe you a beer because you called it.
I was
Kage
like,
has been calling this for over a month now. He's just been like, no, you know what, man? It's
On
good.
that
I want it.
centennial, on
He
that
keeps
100th
putting it out in the
episode,
universe. He's
it's
like, I
going
want it
down.
on 100. And we did it. We got to, I'm going to have to check that after stream. So, Sama, if you didn't see that, you are the 50th follower to the Misfit Gamer Studios. You have just put us in the availability zone for affiliate on our
Yes.
100th episode.
Yes.
Thank you.
You are the man.
We not only earned it, but you did. Thank
That's
you.
fantastic.
That is so awesome. I don't know the next step. I actually don't know because
We got some research to do.
I know that we're eligible now. I know that the affiliate program, we're now meeting the bare minimum.
They'll take us.
I don't know if I have to apply. I don't know if there's a waiting process. I don't even have the emotes ready. I have been planning the emotes for this for months, and I'm not ready for it. So, oh boy, I got stuff to look research. So, oh my gosh, Sama, thank you. That's bro, we just made affiliate at our 100th episode. What the?
Dude, I'm telling you, man.
So we officially have averaged a follower every other episode.
I mean, theoretically, yeah.
That's
it's
one
100
follower a week. We have averaged a follower a week. That ain't bad, man.
Bro.
That is dope. That is Dez is fine. Okay,
is fine.
Dez. Thank you so much. That is so awesome. They reach out to us. It's been a while since I got affiliate. I don't remember. Okay, interesting. Now to get ideas for badges and channel points. Yes, I do
Yeah.
actually have quite a few of those. I know that you can do like 2 different types of channel. Oh my god, I have so much to do this week. Wow, that is that's fantastic. That's so cool. I don't even know what I was saying before. I am totally lost.
We getting it. We getting it. That's all I'm saying.
No, I think we were just talking about, us at Misfit Gamer Studios. Yeah, the whole point was to just be more welcoming. The Discord. I was getting into the Discord. The reason why we created the Discord, we're terrible at interacting with you guys. Like when you guys post stuff, we will try to interact back. I'm bad at just like living on Discord and like being active. I don't post a lot about myself, but I want to get better. Like I just posted some pictures of when my peach tree finally fruited, and I did all of that. So I'm trying to get better at giving you guys background stuff, behind the scenes stuff. Kind of like an Instagram, but I don't really want to treat it just like an Instagram. But it's like, that's why I want to do the game streams. That's why I want to have the Discord, is I want to hear from you guys, right? We want a place for you guys to talk to us, talk to each other. We want that safe space to basically be that community where, whether people are finding games or just having people to talk to. Like one of my favorite things that I've loved to see the last 2 months in the Discord is someone who pops into the community chat and is in the middle of a homebrew and pings like everybody asking if somebody could help out. And I've seen a couple people get together and work together. And
Hecate was a part of that.
Yeah. And it makes me feel so great when I see that, because it's like, I'm loving the homebrew review, but I want to foster a community that can help each other, and I don't want to just be the one that's like, no, bring it all to me. I want to be the micromanager, right?
Yeah.
I would love to review all your guys' stuff, but I don't want to be like we just had this happen too, where we had somebody, they submitted an item, we reviewed it, they resubmitted it, some changes, we re-reviewed it, and then they had asked me for a third review, and I'm just like, to be honest, I don't think that's going to be helpful anymore, right? Like that was a call that I made because it's like I felt like at this point, I didn't want it to be made for me, and I didn't want to be the sole creator, right? It's not my IP, it's not my responsibility, but it's also not mine to do that with, right? And I feel like I'm totally down to do reviews and even revise reviews. Like I'm always down to do a double one. But after that, I feel like maybe that's going to be our limit of if we re-review something, that's going to be a cutoff.
A single re-review is good, like
because it gives us a chance to see and acknowledge the growth, but. Like I told, I think it was, I can't remember who it was, but I told them in the Discord, it's like, hey, I'm glad that we can keep helping. We're humbled that we can help. But after so much, it's like the best advice we can give is play test it, talk to other DMs.
Give it to the people that you're building the demographic for, And
that's what, so it's like, seeing you guys talk to each other in the Discord, help each other out, that was exciting to me because that was my goal for the Discord. Like I've seen a lot of other, like content creator discords, a lot of the times it's just for updates, or it's just to do like contests or get content ideas for YouTube videos, which is great. We have that. But I wanted a little bit more, right? I don't want it to be a place where everyone tries to come and just talk to us. I would love it to where the community is building upon itself, right? I mean, imagine groups of the community getting together to work on homebrew submissions before they submit them to us. That would be so cool. Like, I would love to see that, right? People, really working together. And I mean, man, it would blow my mind to see people getting together for games. Like, that would be kind of cool. I know there's so many Discords out there just for that purpose. That's not our goal, but it would be cool to have a community I don't want to say tight knit, but a community that is bounded together enough by an ideal of D&D,
right.
Like the same ideal of D&D, that they're comfortable with trying to work with each other, right? Knowing that everyone's kind of open to ideas.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what the hope is, right?
100%.
Well, taking these good vibes going. All right, Sama, thank you so much. What class do you want to see a subclass for? I've got plenty. Just let me know. What is the only... So what subclass have we not seen one for? Actually, Barbarian. We have not seen a Barbarian subclass.
We have not seen a Barbarian. I don't think we've seen an Artificer either.
Oh, I would love to see an Artificer subclass.
We have not seen a Paladin either.
Okay. I don't care as much about Paladins. Artificer and Barbarian I'd like to see.
I will say all of those are up and coming with Pokeniner. They're just in the
but we haven't seen
barrel,
one just yet.
But they haven't come out yet. What else have we actually not seen?
We haven't seen... Oh, no. We have seen a Druid or two.
We have seen Druid. Have we seen a Cleric yet? I don't know.
I don't think we've seen a Cleric. What about a Bard?
We did do Bard.
Okay, we have.
That was
the first one
of Pokeniners that we did.
We did do the Bard. So yeah, I would say if you have one for us, Barbarian or Artificer.
Okay.
That's what I want to say. I want to say a Barbarian or Artificer.
I really do want to see some really good Barbarian ones. I really do. So I'm super here for that.
Cosmic, are those your 3 top-rated ones? Is that why?
Wait, what happened?
Cosmic just listed his top 3 reviews of his, and I'm just wondering, are those his top-rated ones?
Oh.
I gotta. A Gunblade Artificer. There we go.
Okay, see, now we're talking.
Guns in D&D are a touchy subject for a lot of people, but I like the idea of that. I really want to see that. Pokeniner?
Wow. Traveling the same... See, the D&D community is...
That is so dope.
That's fire.
That is so cool, though. See, that is actually pretty cool. Pokeniner. Yeah, so Pokeniner, like, they gave us... Yeah, they were the one that gave us, like, a compendium of, like, 20 of, like, subclasses. Or I don't even know how many there were. There was, like, a whole homebrew.
There was a good amount.
Yeah.
I think there was at least 15 to 16 in there.
That's dope. That's so cool that Like, that's awesome. I love that. So yeah, so that's what we're all about. Hopefully that was enough. I have no idea what y'all are doing in Discord. My phone has been sitting here buzzing on the table back and forth like this whole time. I'm just like,
I got Dez set up in the Discord and he actually submitted. I did actually have a question because I opened up his submission and I don't know if there are links to the actual classes that are associated here, or if it's just a list of what the classes are. So I'll get with Dez in a little bit to check that out. But
awesome. Updated their name, got the right roles, perfect. That is absolutely dope. Sweet. So Dez, if you want as well in the Discord, if you go under the schedule channel, you can also apply for the notifications. You can just react for notifications. We have notifications for when we go live, when we do like community posts, like announcements just globally. And then we also have one where when we do new polls, we also ping that one as well. So if you're interested, just check over at the schedule tab or the schedule channel. And then you can sign up for all those via emotes. You've already got the submissions down. And hopefully everything else will be pretty self-explanatory. We are still working on the FAQs. Which will have a section that will walk everyone through like what all the channels are for and everything. There's pinned messages if you have any questions as well.
Yep.
That's okay. So he just sent you a list. That's just the list of all.
Oh, that's just the list. Okay.
So that's interesting. So though, have you heard of GM Binder though? I just happened to see the link.
I have heard of GM Binder. I haven't looked into it a lot. I think a lot of what GM Binder is a lot of just specifically homebrew stuff, and where people can like. I don't know if it's create stuff or if they just post stuff there.
I know we've looked at Homebrewery, but we haven't looked at GM Binder. Correct. So I'll be interested to see what that link looks like later down the road.
So
Jackpot, yeah, I do like the Jackbox games. That would actually be a fun game to do for like a chill, just like a D&D game night, or not a D&D game night, but a Misfit game night. It's called Jackbox. Yeah, the one that you play on the you can either play on your phone, but up on the TV. It's always it's the dude that talks crap to you. He talks shit to you while he asks you questions. The bald guy. Yeah. No, that's actually a really good idea. I think. Yeah, because you can get all of them on Steam for a bundle. I might look into that, Hecate. That's a good idea. Because I have been wanting to do some exclusive stuff, and while most of it's going to be D&D related, obviously, we would like to branch out and just do some fun stuff. So I like that. Let's see. Oh, Phoenix Folks was only a 6 out of 10. Oh, that was when Lucifer was here. I forgot that we had him on a couple times really early on. It's been a while since we've had him back. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I didn't know that we did any reviews with him live though.
It might have been because I think that was around the time where you were still talking to me about some of the reviews that you did for Cosmic.
Oh, so I was just giving you guys the after
so you were
review.
Just giving us yeah.
That would make more sense that he wasn't there for a full one, because that was before we did like an official episode of that. I think we were just starting out with like some highlights there. Right. Okay. And then Des says, Jam Binder is much like Homebrewery. It's a platform for making homebrew pleasing visuals. On there. Yeah, it says it's better for visuals and layout. So yeah, we were testing out Homebrewery because Pokeniner had submitted a bunch of their stuff through Homebrewery. We were looking at it. We like what we have right now, and we're working on our own branding stuff because we want to have stuff that's easily accessible and visible while we're streaming, that I can read easy, that you guys can see live on stream easy. And Homebrewery was just not quite properly formatted for that. Great for, the dual column thing is great for physical not great for digital, especially in display.
Well, I'll say it can be good for digital if it's your own personal digital, but like displaying for like a stream or something like that, it's kind of hard. Like,
and then and the talking out loud and navigating was difficult. That's why we kind of keep with ours right now. We are looking to brand it a little bit better and actually make it more personal. So we'll definitely be looking at GM Binder for some inspiration, because we did take some ideas from Homebrewery. We might even still use Homebrewery if we end up publicizing, like we were thinking about publicizing, like once we get to 100 items reviewed, we were considering if we can get everybody's, buy-in, maybe making that like publishable so people could buy that like eventually as a merch.
Yep.
So yeah, we're not really sure how we want to do that yet, but yeah, absolutely. Thanks for submitting that idea, because we want to look at it. All right. Wow. Okay. So we've gone pretty good. We've covered a lot of topics. We've covered basically what D&D discussion is all about. We've covered our schedule. Yeah. We got to do a review. We got to affiliate. So I have some ideas. I have some ideas for emotes and things for you guys. I'm really, really hoping you guys like what I have cooking. And that also means, you know what? So, backstory for y'all. I finally paid my truck off last month.
Nice.
So I had a little bit of extra cash this month, and it's also my birthday month. Mm-hmm. So that little bit of extra cash has been getting put to some things around the house for me. And I still have a little bit of that money left. Mm-hmm. So I know where this is going. I've had a couple ideas in mind for this affiliate nonsense for a while now.
Yes.
So I'm thinking if this is it, 100th episode, we made affiliate, and it's I got the money and I got the time. I'm thinking I'm just gonna put the rest of that birthday money, and I'm going to invest it into the stream. So, not only do we have a surprise for you guys, but hopefully, depending on how long it takes, by the end of the month, I should have a big surprise for you as well.
Oh, interesting.
Because I've had plans that I have not told anyone about for just this time of us going into affiliate. I have some unique ideas, and I think it's time I get those started.
Right, all right.
So keep an eye out for that, y'all. As I've mentioned before, the polls are up and live in the Discord, in the polls channel. Yes. So go let us know what you think of the new naming structure. That will probably be happening. The polls should be up for another 10, 11 days. After that, we'll probably by the end of the month solidify that. Mm-hmm. We will keep you guys posted on how the affiliate thing goes. I'm really super excited about seeing that. So I have a busy week. We have some exciting news for you guys coming up. We have some surprises. Wow, we're growing, guys. This is awesome. So thank you guys so much for joining us today. It has been fantastic. I think that is going to be where we leave you today. So I hope you guys all enjoyed this. If you haven't seen all of the links just yet, I'm going to do them one more time. So we have a link to our Discord posted in the chat. If you want to come and join the Discord, join the chat with the community, give us ideas to talk about on Friday, or submit your own homebrew for Monday review, you can do that all in the Discord. If you liked what you saw here today and you missed anything from the beginning of the stream, or if you want to see anything that we have done previously, we have all of our live streams on our VOD channel on YouTube that you have the link in chat right now, and as well as you can link to our other channel, Misfit Gamer Studios, which will have edited content hopefully posted by the end of this month. So go and subscribe to that. You can get that through the link in chat right now. Again, there's Misfit Gamer Studios Live, which is all the VODs channels, and then Misfit Gamer Studios, where we're going to have all of our edited content posted by the end of the month. Otherwise, we will be back on Friday at 7:30 Pacific Standard Time for deeper discussions, where we don't have a topic just yet, but we have plenty on the back burner. We will have one ready for you guys on Friday. We will be back again next Monday for Homebrew Review. I hope you guys had a fantastic weekend. I hope you have a great week ahead of you. That's going to be us. Cheers.
Deuces, my friends.
Oh, before we go, just want to give a shout out, obviously, to everybody. First and foremost, Dez, thank you so much for coming in today, being an awesome chatter, and reaching us to affiliate on our 100th episode. That was fantastic. But not only, we have seen pretty much all of the regulars. We got Big Dungeon Energy. Hecate was here. Cosmic, thank you so much for showing up and chatting with us. It's always a pleasure to see you.
Hoylepa's the only one I didn't see you today.
Hoylepa didn't show up today, but that's all right. No, we got the regulars, though. That's fantastic. Got to see everybody. So yeah, thank you guys so much for keeping us company. It's always great to see you guys, and we do appreciate it. We will see you in the Discord. Let us know if you have any questions or want to chat with us. Otherwise, we'll see you guys on Friday. Cheers.